She had stepped onto the path of cultivation. It was the sign of becoming a cultivator. There were many people who were stuck at the entrance of a book, but Han Jingjing had actually made some progress in just a few days' time. Although being able to cultivate a supporting mental cultivation method, it didn't mean that she could successfully condense the alchemic fire. Even if she successfully condensed the alchemic fire, she might be like Lin Yi, unable to control the intensity and temperature of the fire. Therefore, Han Jingjing could only be considered a beginner among beginners. Moreover, the supporting mental cultivation method of alchemists was the simplest cultivation method. It was simpler than any other mental cultivation method, and it was only used to assist in condensing the alchemic fire. But even so, Han Jingjing could master the supporting mental cultivation method in such a short time, which was really a genius among geniuses. However, the fluctuation of the heaven and earth aura was extremely weak, so only Lin Yi could feel it if he was very close, but Boss Bite couldn't feel it on the podium. This was the beginning of cultivating the true Tao. This situation surprised and delighted Lin Yi. Could it be that Han Jingjing was really a genius? Early in the morning, Lin Yi drove Meng Yao and Yushu to school in his Jeep Cherokee. Today was the weekend, so there was no class, so Lin Yi didn't bring Han Jingjing. Today's main activity was to go to the Tiger Park. He parked the car in the parking lot, and Lin Yi quietly waited for the others. Not long after, by Wei Tuo, Zhao Shengji, Song Xiaodao, Zhang Duopan, and Fan Ganhe walked over from the direction of the male dorm. Bro Lin, so early? Sorry to keep you waiting. Bai Weituo greeted Lin Yi. We just arrived too. Lin Yi said, Where are Mei Yue and the others? They're in the dorm room. They'll be out soon. Bai Weituo said as he looked carefully at Lin Yi's car. As expected, he saw Meng Yao and Yushu in the car. He was smart enough not to mention Wang Xinyan again. You guys can take Lin Yi's car later. Mei Yue and the others can take mine. Zhang Duopan said, You three men squeezing the back of my car is a bit cramped. Lin Yi's car is a 7-seater. It's no problem. Lin Yi's car has some water in the back seat, so it can't fit 3 people. Mei Yue and I will take a taxi later, and Xinyan and Xiaoling can take Lin Yi's car. Zhao Xingji and Song Xiaodao can take your car. Bai Weituo said, What? You and Mei Yue will take a taxi? We have a car here. Why will we take a taxi? Zhang Duopan immediately objected after hearing Bai Weituo's words. Besides, you guys should be the ones taking the taxi. How can you let the girls take it? Haha, there's no need to take a taxi. Xinyan has her own car. You 3 can take Zhang Duopan's car later. Xinyan and the others can drive themselves. Lin Yi said as he looked at the red sports car not far away. Drive themselves? Zhang Duopan paused as he looked at Lin Yi, confused. What car do they drive? Where do they have a car? At this time, Xinyan, Xiaoling, and Mei Yue came as well. They heard the conversation between Lin Yi and Zhang Duopan. Xinyan didn't want to drive herself. She wasn't someone who liked to show off, but since Lin Yi said so, she had no choice but to take out her keys and press the remote. Not far away, the red Porsche's headlights flashed twice. Zhang Duopan's eyes widened as if he had seen a monster. Fan Ganhe, on the other hand, was in disbelief. Xinyan had a car. It was a Porsche too? How rich did her family have to be able to afford a sports car? Zhang Duopan could afford one, but Zhang Fengfeng didn't spoil him when he was in high school. It was only when he had an excuse to hit on girls that he had some money. You're right. Yushu nodded. Meng Yao and Yushu were shocked by the aura of the lion and tiger garden, and so were the others. Everyone was used to living in the city. Suddenly coming to this tiger park that was built on the basis of a primeval forest with an incomparably strong aura of nature naturally made them extremely excited. However, Lin Yi did not show any special expression. Lin Yi had gotten used to this kind of environment many years ago and was not surprised at all. This time, he had only found some familiar feelings from before. That period of time was really nostalgic and fascinating. It had been so long since he had returned to the city. The city life that he had yearned for was not as comfortable and peaceful as he had imagined. It was as if Lin Yi had stepped into another journey from one journey. Only after coming into contact with some people and things did Lin E realize that there's always someone better out there. These hidden families, and ancient sects were all unreachable existences for ordinary people. They would never have any interaction with them. But now, all of them were somehow connected to Lin E. Thinking back to the days that he had thought were dangerous, they didn't seem so dangerous anymore. After entering the Lion and Tiger Park, Zhang Duopan did not rush to line up with the other tourists to take the sightseeing bus or the cable car. Instead, he took out his phone and dialed a number. "Hello, Uncle Su. I'm Zhang Duopan, yes. Zhang Fengfeng's son. Yeah, I'm at the Tiger Park with my classmates. We're at the entrance." Zhang Duopan said. All right, I'll wait for your people." While Zhang Duopan was talking on the phone, the others looked at him in confusion. They didn't know who he was looking for. But Lin, he had a rough guess. This Lion and Tiger Park was probably opened by a friend of Zhang Duopan's father, and he'd come here to make this call to get some help, as well as show off his connections to Himeiwei. Lin, he didn't care about this kind of child's play, and the person this guy was talking to wasn't him, but Himeiwei. So Lin, he just stood there and didn't say anything. Fan Ganha, on the other hand, waited for Zhang Duopan to hang up and asked, "Brother Zhang, who are you calling?" "One of the sponsors of the Tiger Park is my father's friend." Zhang Duopan pretended not to care and smiled. "These sightseeing buses aren't very good. They're all modified from ordinary vans. It's not very comfortable to sit in, so I asked my dad to find a friend to arrange a good car." "Brother Zhang, you're so awesome," Fan Ganha exclaimed. "It seems like your family has a lot of connections. You even have friends in East Ocean City." "That's right. Isn't there Meiwei? There are VIPs here, so we have to at least have a good car. It's not like we don't have this condition." Zhang Duopan nodded and smiled. "In fact, it's really awesome not to drive into the Tiger Park." Bai Weiduo was so angry that he couldn't help but mock them. In fact, with Boss Bai's connections, it was easy to arrange something like this. Even if Boss Bai couldn't make elixirs now, he could just sell a recipe and guide some alchemists to make elixirs, which would bring him a lot of money. However, after Boss Bai was injured, he didn't do this. He had been very low-key and hid in the university as a lecturer. This was also what Bai Weiduo felt the most aggrieved about. He obviously had the ability, but he didn't make more money. He and his brother were despised for flirting with girls. "That's right. I don't know if young Master Zhang has this courage." Chai Shaoling immediately echoed after listening. The car started up slowly, and they drove into Tiger Forest. However, this luxurious extended Hummer attracted the attention of other tourists. It was obviously a VIP car, much better than a sightseeing car. "Shu, you're scared?" "You're scared?" Lenny asked, amused. "Can't Shu be scared?" Actually, Shu has a lot of things that she's scared of. Yushu's face showed a hint of sadness. "Oh? Like what?" Lenny asked. "No, let's look at the tiger first." Yushu didn't want to talk about it. Meng Yao sat beside Xinyan, which surprised Xinyan a little. Xinyan hadn't expected to sit with him today. Meng Yao and Yushu were there. After all, she'd taken the last seat of her own volition in order to avoid Fan Ganha's glare. At least she'd be able to stay away from Fan Ganha. What Xinyan didn't expect, however, was for Meng Yao to walk to her side and sit down as soon as she sat down. This surprised her and made her a little nervous. She didn't know what Meng Yao was planning. Xinyan had always been a quiet person. She wasn't good at talking to people, so she only nodded at Meng Yao. She didn't take the initiative to say anything. Meng Yao, on the other hand, didn't say anything after sitting down. She observed the girl beside her quietly. Without a doubt, Xinyan was a very beautiful girl. She didn't pale in comparison to Meng Yao at all. Spring flowers and autumn moon were equal. "You like Lin, E?" Meng Yao asked. She checked Xinyan out as the car drove away. Meng Yao's sudden question made Xinyan's heart skip a beat. Was Meng Yao here to denounce her? Xinyan's heart almost jumped out of her chest, but she forced herself to calm down. "I'm just good friends with Lin." Meng Yao smiled meaningfully. "It's nothing, really. Just let me know if you like Lin E, and I'll check on his girlfriend's behalf. She's given me the authority to do that." Xinyan paused. She looked at Meng Yao in disbelief. Lin Yi's girlfriend asked you to check on her? Yeah. Meng Yao smiled and nodded. His girlfriend asked him to find another girlfriend? Xin Yan couldn't believe it, but that was what Meng Yao meant. Yeah. Meng Yao nodded again. Did I hear that right? Xin Yan stared at Meng Yao, stunned. No. So, if you like Lin Yi, you have to tell me before someone else gets to him. Meng Yao said, there's only one spot. Oh. Xin Yan's heart skipped a beat when Meng Yao was about to tell her, but she remembered her own situation. She shook her head with a bitter smile. I'm engaged. Lin Yi and I are really just friends. Is that so? All right then. Meng Yao shrugged. She didn't want to continue the topic. I don't have anything against you, but you know that since Lin Yi's girlfriend gave me this responsibility, I have to keep my promise. I understand. Xin Yan nodded. She didn't really understand, but she found it a little unbelievable. Huh. But I can tell that Lin Yi likes you a little. Meng Yao said. Xin Yan's face reddened. Actually, Xiao Xiao is Lin Yi's small wife. Lin Yi has a big wife, but Lin Yi has forgotten about her. Meng Yao lowered her voice as she told Xin Yan the story of Lin Yi, Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao. The two sat at the back of the car, so they didn't have to worry about Lin Yi overhearing them, especially since Meng Yao's voice was so soft that Xin Yan had to get close to hear. At first, Xin Yan thought that Lin Yi had two girlfriends and was a little disappointed that Lin Yi was a playboy. But when she heard that it was Tang Yun who allowed Xiao Xiao to join, and that it was because she pitied her, Xin Yan understood that Tang Yun was so kind and Xiao Xiao was so pitiful. The trip to the Ice Palace and Snowy Valley moved Xin Yan even more. She didn't think that love could be so great. What a sad story it was. Lin Yi risked his life to fight against those sky-class masters to save Xiao Xiao, and Tang Yun, in order to save Lin Yi, didn't hesitate to stay in Snowy Valley and become an inheritor. And in order to make Lin Yi not sad, she gave the forgetfulness herb to Lin Yi. What kind of sacrifice was that? Xin Yan finally understood why Xiao Xiao wanted to help Lin Yi find another girlfriend, the big wife. It was to cover up this lie. Xin Yan felt that it wasn't fair to Lin Yi, but this was Tang Yun's wish. If she really told Lin Yi the truth, no one would be happy. So the best thing to do was to keep hiding it. But letting Lin Yi find another girlfriend was a little too easy for him. So the spots are limited. If you really want to, you can think about it. It's better to be familiar than unfamiliar, and I think you have a good personality. You won't bully Xiao Xiao, Meng Yao said, but we'll have to see what Lin Yi wants and what he chooses. I can't do it. Xin Yan shook her head. I'm just saying. I just don't want you to spill the beans, Meng Yao said. Yeah, I won't, Xin Yan nodded. The car drove to the Manchurian tigers. It was full of Manchurian tigers, also known as Siberian tigers. They were found in the northeast of Asia and were the largest felines in existence. Males could reach up to 3 meters in length, with a meter-long tail. They weighed up to 350 kilograms, and there were many black stripes on their backs and sides, usually 2 of them in the shape of a willow leaf. Their heads were big and round, and there were many stripes on their foreheads. They were often connected in the middle, resembling the word king. That was why they were called the king of the jungle. Since it was the king of the jungle, naturally, it was extremely ferocious. Every sightseeing car had iron bars on the windows to prevent the tourists from getting hurt when they opened the windows. This extended Hummer was no exception, except for a small movable opening on the iron fence at the window, which could be used to throw food out to feed the tigers. The entire body of the Hummer was completely sealed. Uncle Yen, there's too many people here. There's no point in feeding the tigers here. Is there a place with fewer people? Zhang Duopan asked on purpose. Yeah, there's less people at the animal taming area. Let's go there. The tigers there are trained, and they can jump high. You throw the beef into the air, and they'll jump for it. It's very interesting, Uncle Yin said. Gritting his teeth, he followed her out of the car. Yushu, on the other hand, followed Lin Yi out of the car. Since the girls got out, Bai Weitua couldn't stay in the car anymore. He said, Meiwe, let's get out too, but be careful. Don't get too close. After Zhang Duopan got out of the car, he gave Uncle Yin a look. Uncle Yin nodded, indicating that everything was arranged. Zhang Duopan smiled knowingly. There's beef here. Everyone can feed the tigers, Zhang Duopan said to the people who got out of the car. But, for safety's sake, let's let Uncle Yin demonstrate first. As expected, the two tigers just stood next to the animal trainers. They didn't come over, and they didn't seem to have any intention of attacking them. It seemed like they were really different from the free-range tigers. Actually, the tigers here are more obedient and easier to feed, Uncle Yin said as he took out a piece of beef and threw it at the tigers. Sure enough, the two tigers jumped at the same time. One of them jumped higher and grabbed the piece of meat in the air. But what was more interesting was that when the other tiger saw that the previous tiger grabbed the meat, it stopped fighting and returned to the animal trainer's side, regardless of how much the previous tiger enjoyed the meat. Tigers eat alone. If one of them grabs the meat, the other tigers are very disciplined and won't fight for it. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility of a tiger king, but there isn't one here. Uncle Yin explained, Who's next? Bai Weitua, why don't you go first? Zhang Duopan laughed and said, But looking at you, you definitely don't dare, so let me do it. Bai Weitua was furious, but he couldn't do anything about it. He was indeed a little worried. It's okay, let him perform. Lin Yi patted Bai Weitua, smiled slightly, and said, People make mistakes, horses stumble. If he gets bitten later, he won't be so cocky. Get bitten? Aren't you too timid? Fan Ganha glanced at Lin Yi and said sarcastically, Generally, girls don't like cowards. Lin Yi didn't pay attention to him at all, making Fan Ganha's words useless. He was a little angry, but it was not good to be angry. He thought in a while, I will let you know what it means to be a fool and afraid. Zhang Duopan picked up a piece of beef and threw it at the two tigers. Because one tiger was eating the meat, the other one who didn't get it before grabbed it first and bit the meat in its mouth. It was quite interesting. How about it? Meiwe, why don't you try it too? After Zhang Duopan finished his performance, he said to Meiwe proudly, Okay. Meiwe saw that Zhang Duopan was not in any danger, so she nodded and agreed. This way of feeding the tigers personally was quite interesting, so Meiwe was also interested. Just like me, pick up a piece of meat and throw it over, Zhang Duopan said after a simple demonstration. Okay. Meiwe nodded, picked up a piece of meat, and threw it over to the tigers. However, maybe because the girl's strength was relatively small, the meat was thrown relatively close. The two tigers rushed over with a whoosh sound. It was as if they were rushing at Meiwe, and Meiwe was suddenly shocked. Meiwe suddenly screamed and dodged back in fear. In fact, this was also intentional by Zhang Duopan. The two tigers had actually been acting under the instructions of the beast tamer. The domesticated tigers were different from the free-range ones. Even if they hunted, they were controlled by the beast tamer. If the beast tamer didn't allow them to eat, they wouldn't eat. Therefore, the first two snatches of food seemed to be their own behavior. But in fact, it was also done under the secret instructions of the beast tamer. Lin Yi, who had dealt with wild beasts all year round, saw this clearly. He hated Bai Weitua so much in his heart. He planned to take the opportunity to teach him a lesson. So he said with a fake smile, Bai Weitua, if you are in a hurry to feed the tigers, I will say that you are in a hurry. Why are you still standing in front of Meiwe? I didn't move because I know that these two tigers definitely won't hurt people. This is called being calm. Calm? Bai Weitua didn't refute. Instead, he picked up a piece of beef on the ground and said, If that's the case, what's the difficulty of feeding such domesticated tigers? Whether it's difficult or not, it's also a kind of courage training. Don't talk so much nonsense, Zhang Duopan said as he gave Uncle Yin a look. Uncle Yin nodded calmly. So, when Bai Weitua just picked up a piece of meat, the tiger on the other side didn't wait for Bai Weitua to finish shaving the beef in his hand. With a roar, It directly bit the bee fin by Wei Tua's hand. Although it didn't hurt by Wei Tua, it still scared by Wei Tua enough that he sat on the ground. Lin frowned. He knew that this was probably Zhang Duopan's deliberate mischief, but he didn't have any evidence. Naturally, he couldn't say anything. Ha ha, by Wei Tua. It can't be, right? You're actually so scared that you sat on the ground? Aren't you a little too useless? Zhang Duopan suddenly laughed. Didn't you say that there's no difficulty in feeding this kind of domesticated tiger? Why? Are you so scared that you pissed your pants? The corner of Lin Yi's mouth flashed a trace of a cold smile. He pretended to want to help by Wei Tuo up, but his hand suddenly flicked out a trace of true energy, aimed at one of the two tigers, and then emitted a strange sound wave from his mouth. But Lin Yi's acting was very good, and he made it sound like he was lifting Bai Wei Tuo up with all his might. No one thought anything was wrong at all, but there was a reason for Lin Yi to do this. He was provoking the tiger in front of him. In the past, Lin Yi was active in various kinds of primeval forests all year round. He had a set of ways to deal with these fierce beasts. Sometimes, using beasts to deal with the enemy was also a means. Lin Yi first used his pure energy to injure the tiger, and then used that strange sound wave to make the tiger go berserk and bloodthirsty. This way, even a domesticated tiger would turn into a mad tiger and attack the person closest to it. Before, when Lin Yi didn't know how to use the Qi Bomb, he naturally used other hidden weapons to hurt the tiger. However, that was more obvious and could let people see the flaws. It didn't matter when facing the enemy in the primeval forest, but it wouldn't work here. Lin Yi wanted to harm Zhang Duopan. Naturally, he couldn't let others see it, so he directly used the Qi Bomb. After doing all this, Lin Yi quickly helped Bai Wei Tuo up and then pulled him back. He stood far away from Zhang Duopan and said, Wei Tuo, forget it. This tiger is not a joke. Chapter 2028. Chapter 2041, Lion King Lin Yi did it on purpose. Although Zhang Duopan was a bit annoying, Lin Yi didn't want to kill him directly. So, this was also a lesson for him. Uncle Yan, help. What's wrong with this tiger? Wasn't it tamed? Why did it suddenly bite me? Only now did Zhang Duopan know fear. His back was drenched in cold sweat. He never would have thought that this tiger, who had never hurt anyone, would want to harm him. Could it be that the beast tamer had asked it to scare Bai Wei Tuo, and that had aroused its ferocity? From the looks of it, this was the only explanation. Otherwise, why would this tiger suddenly change its temperament? Uncle Yin and the beast tamer were also baffled. Logically speaking, this tiger shouldn't hurt people. Why did it suddenly pounce on Zhang Duopan, as if it had seen an enemy? Fortunately, Zhang Duopan ran fast. No, why did the tiger's leg seem to be injured? How did he get hurt? What did you get hurt? Could it be that the tiger was so ferocious because it was injured? Woo woo, ooh. The beast tamer kept calling out the beast language that the tiger could understand. He wanted to stop the mad tiger, but the tiger didn't seem to listen to anything. It madly rushed toward Zhang Duopan. The mist looked at Lin Yi, deep in thought. Shu, on the other hand, clapped her hands and laughed. Ha, Shield Bro's almost catching up to Prophet Shu. Amazing. This tiger is crazy. Some people are really retarded. Bai Wei Tuo's hatred was also vented in his heart. He shouted mockingly, Zhang Duopan, Brother Lin is right. Even if this tiger is tamed, it can still bite people. People like you are not courageous, but arrogant. You are simply too stupid. At this moment, Himei was frowning and shaking her head. She sighed in her heart. This Zhang Duopan was indeed useless. How could he do such a dangerous and arrogant thing? Fortunately, the tiger didn't go crazy just now. Otherwise, it would have really hurt him. Even Bai Wei Tuo was almost injured by the tiger. Help! Zhang Duopan cried out miserably. Although Fan Ganha was anxious, he did not dare to step forward to help. He was facing a tiger, and he knew that he was not Wu Song. He did not have the ability to do anything to a tiger, so he could only be anxious. Bang! A gunshot was heard. It was the beast tamer who fired the shot. He took out a tranquilizer gun from somewhere and shot it at the crazy tiger. After the gunshot, The tiger swayed twice before falling to the ground. Obviously, it had fainted. Phew! The beast tamer also breathed a sigh of relief. If anything happened to Zhang Duopan, he would also have a lot of responsibility. Uncle Yin also breathed a sigh of relief. This domesticated tiger actually went crazy. It was like winning the lottery. When Zhang Duopan saw that the tiger had fallen, he finally couldn't hold on anymore. He sat on the ground and panted heavily. His head was covered in sweat. Scare me to death, scare me to death. Zhang Duopan couldn't care less about his face. He was about to lose his life. What face did he have? Fan Ganha quickly ran over and helped Zhang Duopan up. Uncle Yin was also very embarrassed. Young Master Zhang, no one knew that this tiger would suddenly go crazy. I know. It's not your fault. Zhang Duopan waved his hand. His face was very ugly. This time, he had lost his face. He wanted to scare by Wei Duo, but in the end, he was the one who was scared. Let's go and see something else. This tiger is boring. Lin Yi said faintly. I already said that this tiger goes crazy easily. You don't believe me. This is just an accident. Zhang Duopan said. Let's go see the lion. This tiger is just so. It was fierce just now, but it was finished in one shot. Although Bai Wei Duo and others didn't answer, they still despised Zhang Duopan. In He Meiyue's eyes, her impression of Zhang Duopan was getting worse and worse. This guy was simply an arrogant playboy. He wasn't a suitable companion at all. When everyone got in the car, Uncle Yin breathed a sigh of relief. He quickly started the car and went out of the domestication area. They went to the lion and tiger breeding area. This was a pure wild area. The lions and tigers here were wild. Even the ordinary staff didn't dare to get out of the car. Only those professionals wearing professional equipment and holding tranquilizer guns dared to get out. As for tourists, they were forbidden to feed the animals through the car window. This was enough to show the danger of this area. This is the lion and tiger breeding area. There's a lion king here. In the past, the most powerful one here was a tiger, but recently, the garden bought a lion. This lion became the king here. Uncle Yin explained while driving. This lion has a very high IQ. When it came, it had a lot of underlings. The previous tiger king also became the lion's underling. This lion is quite powerful. Could it be the legendary lion king? Zhang Duopan deliberately said in order to divert everyone's attention. You can say that. Uncle Yin nodded. If we're lucky, we'll be able to see the Lion King. Here, the car was equipped with GPS, tranquilizer guns, and emergency satellite phones. This was also to prevent the car from breaking down, so that reinforcements could come in time. This was because this was the primeval forest breeding area. The area was very wide, unlike the previous sightseeing areas where there were many sightseeing cars. Here, most tourists chose to take the cable car to see the scenery of the lion and tiger breeding area. Almost no sightseeing cars drove here. This was also for the safety of tourists. Of course, there was also a small number of adventurous tourists who would choose to come here by car. However, these tourists would buy insurance and sign an agreement before coming in. After all, this was not a joke. Even if he was a tamer, a professional, he didn't dare get off here. When he fed the tigers and lions, he would throw the meat out through the gaps of the window. He didn't dare to be careless. And Yushu, a girl, wanted to get off? Shield bro, will you come with me? Yushu suddenly realized that something wasn't right. The lion had already been sold, and it was now the king of this place. No matter how much she messed around, she couldn't risk her life. She turned to Lin Yi. Okay, Lin Yi said faintly, without a trace of fear or obstruction. Even if Lin Yi didn't know these lions and tigers, these beasts wouldn't dare hurt Lin Yi and the people he was protecting. There was no other reason. Years of fighting in the jungle had given Lin Yi a killing aura. As long as the tigers and lions weren't idiots, they wouldn't do anything when they sensed Lin Yi's aura. This was just like General Wei Wu, who chose to retreat the first time he saw Lin Yi. Go Huli, that lion, was also scared by Lin Yi. Lin Yi's reply wasn't loud, but everyone in the car heard it clearly, especially Zhang Duopan. He looked at Lin Yi as if he was looking at an idiot. Even if Lin Yi liked Yushu and wanted to get on her good side, there was no need for him to accompany her to death. Was there? In the domestication field, even the tigers might go crazy, let alone in a free-range breeding area. If they got out of the car, wouldn't they be eaten by the tigers and lions in an instant? But thinking back to the humiliation he'd suffered, Zhang Duopan didn't mind humiliating Lin Yi as well. If the two of them got eaten by the tigers after getting out of the car, then they couldn't blame anyone else. The tiger park would only have to pay some money, and everyone in the car could testify that they wanted to get out of the car. It had nothing to do with anyone else. With that thought, Zhang Duopan's lips curved into a cold smile. He didn't know why Lin Yi and Yushu were in such a rush to die, but since they wanted to die, he'd grant them their wish. Uncle Yin, the big hero, wants to get out of the car to observe Lion King up close. Let's stop the car and open the door. Okay, Master Zhang. Uncle Yan's order was to listen to Zhang Duopan's orders, and since Zhang Duopan wanted to stop the car, then so be it. If the people really got eaten, then Zhang Duopan would be the one paying for the compensation. Uncle Yin stopped the car and opened the door. Yushu got out of the car first, and Lin Yi, naturally, followed behind her. Yushu had only just gotten out of the car when the lions and tigers started getting restless, wanting to rush up and get rid of this delicacy. The lion behind them, however, paused when it saw Yushu and shivered when it saw Lin Yi behind Yushu. Holy shit, Long Di Dong. These two weren't going to capture him, were they? You think you're a Lion King? Yushu curled her lips. She looked down on the Lion King. The Lion King felt very wronged. It was true that it was a Lion King in front of others, but if it continued to be a king when you're here, wouldn't it be suicide? You're fine, you'll just pull on my ear, but the one beside you. She can send me to the Southern Skies Gate with one kick. However, Yushu had a purpose in coming here. She grew up with Meng Yao. The two were almost telepathic. Meng Yao went to talk to Xin Yan, and Yushu understood that this Xin Yan might become one of Shield Bro's girlfriends in the future. In actuality, Yushu didn't really care about how many girlfriends Lanny had. She was worried about Meng Yao's interests, and as for herself, Yushu didn't want to think about her own matters. And so, after understanding Meng Yao's feelings, she decided to help Lin Yi and Xin Yan. Xin Yan, however, had a rather annoying pursuer, and this person was ruining the relationship between Lin Yi and Xin Yan. Yushu wasn't too happy about it, and so she wanted to find a chance to teach Fan Ganha a lesson. And now was the perfect opportunity. Yushu wouldn't have gotten out of the car to play with the Lion King otherwise. Fan Ganha, what are you doing in the car? Why aren't you getting out? I heard that Xin Yan likes brave people. You're such a coward. Look at Shield Bro. He's not even afraid of lions. Yushu made a disdainful gesture at Fan Ganha. Lin, he almost burst out laughing at Yushu's word. Why was she doing this again? Brave people? Didn't they say that Meng Yao liked brave people? Why was it Xin Yan now? Fan Ganha was confused, and Yushu's disdain made him panic. Who said I'm not brave? How are you guys brave? There's something wrong with this lion. It doesn't even hurt people. Yeah, there's clearly something wrong with this lion. Zhang Duopan said. What kind of lion is this? Uncle Yin, are you sure you're not mistaken? Uncle Yin found it weird as well. This lion was clearly very docile, and it didn't bite at all. Why was it acting so happy when its ear was pulled? What a dumb lion. Isn't this a competition of bravery? I'm a sports student. You think I'm weaker than you? Fan Ganha made the decision. If Lin Yi and Yushu were fine, then he'd be fine as well. Lin Yi and Yushu, on the other hand, probably knew that there was something wrong with the lion, and that was why they dared to get off the car. It was just like how Zhang Duopan and the tamers said that they weren't afraid of the tiger. They were the ones who cheated, and so they naturally assumed that Lin Yi was cheating as well. With that, Fan Ganha jumped off the car, and the moment he did so, Yushu whispered something to the lion, and the lion nodded quickly. But no one paid attention to this scene. How could a human talk to a lion? From their point of view, it was something impossible. In the car, Wang Xinyan heard Yushu say that she liked brave people. Since when did she like brave people? Lin, he was brave, but Meng Yao smiled faintly. She'll want to help you get rid of your pursuer, Fan Ganha. Ah, Xinyan blinked and understood what was going on when she saw Fan Ganha getting off the car. Ha, you stupid lion, there's definitely something wrong with you. Speak, are you tamed? Fan Ganha pointed at the lion as soon as he got off. Not only did it tear through his pants, but it also bit off a piece of flesh from his butt. He cried out in pain, and tears almost came out. However, the intense pain made their minds clear. They didn't care about the pain anymore and ran to the car like crazy, their faces extremely pale. However, the severe pain also made the two of them instantly sober up. They couldn't care less about the pain and ran into the car crazily. Their faces became extremely pale. Man, I told you, the lion is afraid of Shield Bro, but you didn't believe me and went down to pretend to be brave. In the end, you're finished, aren't you? Yushu said with a gloating expression. The people in the car were speechless. They didn't know what was going on. Yushu's words sounded reasonable, but if the lion was afraid of Lin, Yi, and not Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha, it was a little too unbelievable. How could the lion tell who was stronger? Plus, after Lin Yi got off the car, he didn't even fight with the lion. Why would the lion be afraid of Lin Yi? Wasn't this baffling? You guys played dirty. Zhang Duopan was about to cry from the pain, but he knew that if he cried now, he would definitely look down on him. He endured the pain and scolded. Did you guys do it on purpose? On purpose? Are you retarded? I told you that the lion was afraid of Shield Bro. If you didn't believe me, just stand there and die. But you guys didn't believe me, so who can you blame? Yushu said innocently. Zhang Duopan wanted to say something, but after thinking about it carefully, he realized that what Yushu said was true. It was indeed him and Fan Ganha who didn't believe him. But the more Zhang Duopan thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Why was the lion afraid of Lin Yi? That wasn't possible, right? The lion wasn't a human. Why would it be afraid of a tourist? Plus, this didn't make sense. Zhang Duopan's heart was racing. It wasn't that the lion was afraid of Lin Yi, but that Lin Yi and Yushu had grasped some kind of pattern. Right, that had to be it. They had been provoking the lion before, but since the lion was a lion king, it had a bottom line. It didn't care about their provocation, and it didn't want to lower itself to the level of Lin Yi and Yushu. After that, everyone started to abuse and offend it, and the lion was offended to a certain extent. Even if it was a lion king, it couldn't take it anymore and finally went crazy. But before it went crazy, Lin Yi and Yushu must have noticed something, and so they got on the car first, saying things like the lion was afraid of Lin Yi, and so Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha didn't notice in time. That had to be it. Otherwise, why would the lion only take a bite out of him and Fan Ganha? If he wanted to kill them instantly, it would be a matter of minutes, but the Lion King did not do so, which meant that the Lion King was still very arrogant. He did not want to lower himself to the level of people like them who did not have the ability to attack. In the end, he was forced into a corner and only said those words to scare them. With that thought, Zhang Duopan felt that he'd grasped the pattern. He didn't want to be the one to suffer, so he turned to Lin Yi and Yushu. Didn't you say that the lion was scared of Lin Yi? If you have the guts, why don't you get off the car and try again? Why should we get off? You want us to get off just because you want us to? It's so tiring to get on and off. Yushu said disdainfully. Are you scared now? Now that the lion's pissed off? You guys must be too scared to get off. Fan Ganha said mockingly. Didn't you say that Xinyan likes brave people? Lin Yi, if you dare to get out of the car now, I'll admit that you're a brave man. Chapter 2032. You'll stop harassing Xinyan if I get out? And you'll give up on Imeiwa too? Lin Yi looked at Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha. If you get out, and we don't dare to get out, then we'll admit defeat. Zhang Duopan didn't make it clear that if Linny got out, then they'd do the same. If Linny got out and the lion caught up, then the bet wouldn't count. Linny got in the car because of the lion, so there was no point in him being brave anymore. "Oh, shoo, let's go see the lion then," Linny said. Okay. Yushu nodded. "This lion seems to be living a good life, and it's even a king. I wonder if it has any treasures to give me." And so, the two got out of the car. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha, on the other hand, were waiting for the lion to go crazy again and bite Lin, Yi, and Yushu. But there was a big difference between wishes and reality. Lin, Yi, and Yushu got out of the car, and the raging lion suddenly became docile again. It had a smile on its face, looking harmless, as if it wasn't the one going crazy earlier. "Bite him! Bite them!" Zhang Duopan called out in his mind, but the lion didn't listen to him at all. "Hey, lion, you seem to be living a good life here. Don't you have any treasures to give me?" Yushu asked. Whoa. The lion knew that Yushu was up to no good, so she started asking for treasures. But the lion didn't dare defy it. Yushu's anger wouldn't be a joke if he didn't give it to her, especially Lin, who was beside him. He'd probably die if the girl gave him a beating, and he'd never be able to be the Lion King again. Thinking of this, the lion hurriedly ran back to its nest at the back of its territory. It carefully found something and held it in its mouth. Then it ran back and raised its head like it was presenting a treasure. Yushu stretched her hand out, and the lion spat the thing out. It was a round, milky white orb that looked like a pearl but wasn't. It looked like a gemstone but wasn't. It was a weird thing, and Yushu couldn't figure out what it was even after looking at it for a while. "What is this? You stupid lion. Don't tell me you tricked me with a piece of trash." Yushu wasn't expecting the lion to really take out a treasure, but she didn't know if it was a treasure or what it was for. Whoa. The lion put on a sad face after hearing Yushu's words. It didn't know how to speak human language, or else it would have explained that this was a treasure the Tiger King found in the primeval forest, and that he gave it to it after he became king. It was really something good. "Let me see." Lin Yi frowned as he took the white orb from Yushu's hands and looked at it carefully. This thing should be a treasure, no doubt about it. It wasn't that Lin Yi trusted the lion, but that he sensed a powerful energy within the white bead the moment it appeared. He didn't know what kind of energy it was or what it was used for, but he didn't know yet. "Shield bro, can you tell what this is?" Yushu asked curiously. "Not at the moment, but I'll keep it," Lin Yi said as he put the orb in his pocket. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha saw the lion give the orb to Lin Yi and Yushu, but their eyes told them that it wasn't a jewel or a pearl. It looked more like a useless rock, and they didn't pay much attention to it. What they were curious about was why the lion seemed to have become so docile again. Could it be that the lion had a mental disorder and had a dual personality? Zhang Duopan, "Fan Ganha, I'm getting off the car. What do you guys have to say?" Lin Yi was shocked as to where the lion got such a treasure from, but he pretended like he didn't care as he changed the topic to Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha. That doesn't mean anything. We get off the car too." Zhang Duopan's confidence returned after seeing that Lin Yi and Yushu were fine. He forgot about the pain and decided to get off the car to check it out. "Oh, you guys get off then. Don't blame me for not warning you if you get bitten again," Yushu said. "This lion's only afraid of Shield Bro, not you guys." "Fuck, you think a lion's IQ is high enough to know who it's afraid of?" Zhang Duopan didn't believe Yushu at all. "I say, this lion must have some kind of mental disorder. You guys have some kind of pattern. That's why you're acting like this." Holy shit. Yushu's eyes went wide as she looked at Zhang Duopan. "How is it? Surprised, right? I guessed it right? Zhang Duopan was even more sure that he was right after seeing Yushu's expression. "No, I just think that your thinking is too fantastical. You can go to Hollywood now," Yushu said. "It doesn't matter if you don't admit it. Ganha, let's get off the car." Zhang Duopan wanted to get off the car first, but he suddenly remembered that his butt was still exposed. When he got on the car, he was facing the people in the car. It was fine, but when he turned around and got off the car, his butt was exposed. Student Zhang really knows how to act like a gangster. Bai Weitu all curled his lips. "There's a girl in the car." "Ugh, Zhang Duopan had forgotten about the pain in his butt. As a result, he was reminded, and the pain was unbearable. But at this time, he couldn't show it. That would be a bit too cowardly. He could only take off his clothes and wrap it around his waist. He said, sorry. Fan Ganha was a sports student, and getting hurt in fights was a common occurrence. He could take the bite on his arm and nodded before getting off the car with Zhang Duopan. But they didn't expect tragedy to befall them as soon as they got off the car. The originally docile lion suddenly pounced at Zhang Duopan. Fuck! Zhang Duopan hadn't even finished getting out of the car. When he saw the lion pouncing at him, he was so scared that he hurriedly dodged backward. As a result, he accidentally fell on his butt in the car. With a wail, his butt fell to the ground and touched his wound. The pain was excruciating. Fan Ganha, on the other hand, was better off. He was behind Zhang Duopan, and although he was knocked into by Zhang Duopan, he didn't suffer much. Chapter 2033. That posture was like a victor looking down on a weakling. Zhang Duopan's face turned red and white. The lion's actions confirmed Yushu's words. The lion was afraid of Lin Yi, but not him. He was attacked as soon as he got out of the car, and Lin Yi had been standing there for a long time. The lion was just trying to please him, and this almost made Zhang Duopan speechless. How could this lion tell who was stronger? But Zhang Duopan didn't see anything special about Lin Yi and Yushu. But Zhang Duopan didn't want to keep his word. He laughed it off. My butt hurts like hell, and it looks really bad. I can't even walk properly. I can't get out of the car. Uncle Yin, let's go. I'm going to the hospital. Zhang Duopan, do you mean what you said before? Stay away from He Mei from now on? Bai Wei Tuo asked. What I said before. I dare get out of the car too, but my butt hurts, so I can't walk. It doesn't count as my loss. I just want to go to the hospital. Zhang Duopan said. Bai Wei Tuo, you wouldn't put a patient in a difficult position, would you? Bai Wei Tuo looked at Zhang Duopan with disdain. This guy was obviously using this as an excuse to not acknowledge the previous bet. However, Bai Wei Tuo had a certain degree of understanding of Zhang Duopan's repeated reneging. This guy was thick-skinned and always found an excuse to go back on his word. Bai Wei Tuo didn't want to say anything more. Lin Yi smiled coldly as he got in the car with Yushu. As for Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha, Lin Yi didn't care anymore. All he cared about was that white bead. He wanted to go back and see what it was. But if it wasn't for Yushu's luck, this thing would have been buried in the Lion King's hands. So when Zhang Duopan asked to leave, Lin Yi didn't say anything. When he got in the car, Lin Yi saw the mist talking to Wang Xinyan about something. Lin Yi was a little puzzled by the scene. The two weren't that close, were they? Could it be that it had become better along the way? Xinyan smiled at Meng Yao's words. The two seemed to be getting along quite well, and that surprised Lin Yi, but he didn't try to eavesdrop on their conversation. Everyone had their own secrets, and Lin Yi wouldn't try to eavesdrop on the conversation between Meng Yao and Yushu. At first, when Lin Yi saw the Miss and Xinyan sitting together, he thought that the Miss didn't have any close friends in the car, and that Xinyan was the only female acquaintance other than Yushu, so he just sat next to her. But now it seemed like it was all planned. The car started moving slowly. Uncle Yin was confused as to why the lion had chosen Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha instead of Lin Yi and Yushu, but he couldn't bring himself to ask after looking at Zhang Duopan's pathetic face. Since Zhang Duopan didn't pursue the matter, Uncle Yin naturally wouldn't meddle in his own affairs. He didn't want Mr. Su to blame him for not being a good host. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha were feeling very wronged. They could endure the physical pain, but the mental pain was breaking them down. They felt that it was strange and unjustified. Why did the lion not bite Lin Yi and Yushu, and even give them a stupid bead? Naturally, Zhang Duopan didn't think that there would be any treasures in the tiger park. After all, this was a scenic area. How could there be treasures? It was probably a big marble or a toy ball thrown by a tourist, and the lion thought it was something good. But no matter what it was, the lion's behavior was strange. Even now, Zhang Duopan still thought that Lin Yi had mastered some kind of pattern, or that Lin Yi had mastered the way to communicate with the lion, and that was why the lion didn't bite him. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha, on the other hand, didn't have this skill, and that was why they ended up in such a tragedy. Some people are not brave, but they pretend to be brave, and in the end, they got bitten by the lion, right? Yushu mocked, Hime Wesi. Can you entrust your life to this kind of man? He's nothing compared to Shield Bro. Of course, Shield Bro can't be given to you, so you can only settle for second best. Bai Wei Dawa is not bad. Himeiwe didn't know whether to laugh or cry after hearing Yushu's words. Lin Yi was indeed outstanding, and if Wang Xinyan wasn't there, she wouldn't mind taking the initiative to pursue him. But with Wang Xinyan's appearance, especially with Meng Yao and Yushu by Lin Yi's side, Himeiwe paled in comparison. She knew her place, and although Zhang Duopan and Bai Weituo were infatuated with her, Lin Yi wouldn't have any feelings for her at all. So Himeiwe wouldn't be delusional. She could only settle for second best, and set her sights on Zhang Duopan and Bai Weituo, her two pursuers. But Himeiwe didn't want to give up her lifelong happiness so early, so she was considering. Zhang Duopan's playboy aura was too strong, but that wasn't what Himeiwe disliked. What Himeiwe feared the most was that Zhang Duopan would play around with her, and then dump her when he was bored. Plus, Zhang Duopan was a bit unreliable. Although his family was rich, he liked to cause trouble. Bai Weituo, on the other hand, didn't have such bad habits, but his family didn't seem to be very rich. Although Bai Weituo and Zhang Duopan had the upper hand in a few confrontations, Himeiwe wasn't an idiot. She knew that the reason why Bai Weituo had the upper hand was because of Lin Yi. It was the same with the drinking competition, the freshman party, and this trip to the Tiger Park. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, the one who would be embarrassed wouldn't be Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha, but Bai Weituo. Bai Weituo had rushed out the moment the tiger pounced on them. That was definitely because he saw that the tiger was tamed, and that was why he dared to push Bai Weituo out. It wasn't Bai Weituo's intention. Of course, although Himeiwe didn't see what happened when the tiger went crazy, it was most likely Lin Yi's doing. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi pull Bai Weituo to the back after helping him up? In the end, the powerful person wasn't Bai Weituo, but Lin Yi. So this was the reason why Himeiwe didn't accept Bai Weituo. Lin Yi couldn't always help him, right? If Lin Yi wasn't by his side, his good luck would come to an end. Whether it was the drinking competition, the freshman party, or even the trip to the Tiger Park, he would lose miserably. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 2034. If Lin Yi knew how much Himeiwe was thinking, he'd be shocked. How scheming was this girl? Of course, it didn't have much to do with Lin Yi, since Lin Yi didn't like her in the first place. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha were both injured, and so the two hurried to see the doctor after leaving the Tiger Park. Lin Yi and the others didn't go anywhere else, either, and went straight back to school. Xinyan was getting out of the car in the school parking lot when the miss winked at her. Tell me if you have any thoughts. Xinyan blushed, not daring to look at the Mississippi. She walked away quickly with her head down. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't know what was going on. What were these two talking about? What do they mean by having thoughts? What thought could Xinyan possibly have? And so, on the way home, Lin Yi asked curiously, Yao Yao, what did you say to Xinyan? Nothing much, just get to know each other a little. I told her to come visit when she's free. Meng Yao said faintly. Visit? Lin Yi felt strange. Wasn't the miss and Shu not too friendly with Xinyan? Why did it change all of a sudden? Lin Yi didn't know that Meng Yao was just getting over it. Since Lin Yi was looking for a big wife, it'd be better for him to get one from someone he was familiar with. If he got an unfamiliar domineering girl, she and Yushu wouldn't be at a disadvantage, but it'd affect their mood. Meng Yao didn't reply and changed the topic. By the way, Lin Yi, what did that line give you in Shu? It doesn't look like anything good. I don't know, but it's definitely something good. Lin Yi said, there's a lot of energy in that thing. Let's get an expert to take a look. It's really good stuff. Yushu was just casually trying to blackmail the lion, not expecting it to actually give her something good. Could it be an energy ball? Energy ball? Lin Yi was stunned. I don't know, but this energy is different from the spiritual energy of the world. Even if it's an energy ball, it's not an ordinary energy ball. That is indeed a fortuitous encounter. Meng Yao said, this trip to the Tiger Park wasn't that interesting, but you got something good, so it wasn't a wasted trip. Yeah, it's an unexpected surprise. I'm just accompanying Bai Weitaw. He is Boss Bai's grandson. Boss Bai treats me well, so I have to help him. Lin Yi said, when he catches up with He Wei, I won't get involved. Shield bro, I don't think that He Wei is a good person. Yushu said, Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao frowned. Although she wasn't friends with He Wei, she didn't have any bad feelings towards her. It wasn't appropriate for Yushu to slander others. I'm not talking nonsense. Yushu said, I just think that He Wei is very scheming. But she's still a little worse than you, right? Meng Yao said, Ugh, not really. Yushu was embarrassed and shut her mouth. He Wei doesn't have much to do with us. It's fine as long as Bai Weitaw likes her. As long as she doesn't do anything bad to Bai Weitaw, there's no need for us to interfere. Lin Yi shrugged and smiled. Besides, it's not a bad thing for a girl to be a little scheming, right, Shu? Oh, how would I know? Yushu looked like she lost. Lin Yi drove the car back to the villa, but when he got close to the villa, he saw Han Jingjing standing in the yard looking around. She ran over excitedly when she saw Lin Yi's car. Han Jingjing's actions made Lin Yi, Yushu, and Meng Yao curious. What was this girl doing standing in the yard in the cold? Although it wasn't that cold yet, the weather in November was still very cold. If Han Jingjing stood in the courtyard alone for a long time, she would definitely catch a cold. Han Jingjing, what are you doing? Lin Yi got out of the car and asked curiously. Lin Yi bro, you're back. I'm waiting for the car. Han Jingjing said. Waiting for the car? Lin Yi was speechless. Waiting for my car? Are you going out? No. I'm waiting for your car to come back. I have something to talk to you about. Han Jingjing said. But you don't have to wait in the yard. Aren't you afraid of catching a cold? Lin Yi didn't know what to say to Han Jingjing's actions. Jingjing's not afraid of catching a cold. Lin Yi bro's really good at treating colds, and it feels really good too. Last time Jingjing got a bunch of water, it felt really good. Han Jingjing said. Puffed. Ahem. Lin Yi choked on Han Jingjing's words. Why did Han Jingjing's words have so many different meanings? Oh, Yushu looked at Lin Yi strangely as well. Shield bro, didn't you say you didn't touch her last time? Why would she feel good and get water? Meng Yao wasn't as bold as Yushu, asking everything out loud. She frowned as she looked at Lin Yi, puzzled. She was just thinking about accepting Xin Yan, but why did it seem like Lin Yi was interested in Han Jingjing instead? Acupuncture. She got sweaty and took a shower, so it felt good. Lin Yi explained, sweating. Yushu and Meng Yao were speechless. It was hard not to think dirty thoughts from Han Jingjing's words. Lin Yi bro, what's wrong with him? Why are you looking at Jingjing with that weird look? Is there something on Jingjing's face? Han Jingjing asked curiously. No, let's not talk about that. Why are you waiting for me here? Lin Yi didn't want to continue the topic. Right. Jingjing almost forgot something important. Han Jingjing lowered her voice. Lin Yi bro, Jingjing made a refinement fire. What? Lin Yi's jaw almost dropped. Refinement fire? It had only been a few days, and Han Jingjing had already made it? What's wrong, Lin Yi bro? Is Jingjing stupid? It's been so many days. Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi innocently. But Jingjing's been working so hard. That refinement fire practitioner's arts went through Jingjing's calculations and scientific optimizations. That's why I was able to make it today. It would have taken me a long time otherwise. Chapter 2035. Lin Yi had the urge to kill himself after hearing Han Jingjing's words. He'd rather die than live. He was an idiot among idiots. Han Jingjing was able to condense her refinement fire in just a few days. One had to know that she started off as a normal person. She had to first become a practitioner and condense her qi, successfully crossing from a normal person to a golden class early phase master. Although it was relatively easy for a normal person to cross from a normal person to a golden class with the help of a refiner's art, it would take at most 1 or 2 years, at least 1 or 2 months. But that was still 1 or 2 months. Han Jingjing had only done it for a few days. Even if Han Jingjing was a golden class now, It didn't mean that she had the strength of a golden class master, but it was still shocking to Lin Yi. Yeah, Shu, you guys go back to the villa first. I have something to talk to Jing. Lin Yi took a deep breath, suppressing his shock as he spoke to Meng Yao and Yu Shu. There are no outsiders in our villa. Let Jing come in too. Meng Yao wasn't someone who didn't see the big picture. If Han Jing really could concoct pills, then it'd solve a lot of Lin Yi's problems. She'd be of great help to him. And so Meng Yao decided that she'd have to build a good relationship with this girl next door. Sure. Lin Yi nodded and said to Han Jing, let's talk at my house. Okay, I haven't been to Lin Yi Big Bro's house yet. I'll go now. Han Jing nodded and was about to enter the villa with Lin Yi when she slapped her forehead. Wait, Jing's tablet isn't here yet. I'll go get it. After saying that, Han Jing ran back to her villa again. Not long after, she appeared in front of everyone again with a tablet in her arms. Wow, Lin Yi, Big Bro, your villa is so cozy. Han Jing said in surprise as soon as she entered the door. It's not as luxurious as yours. Lin Yi smiled. But Jing doesn't like those retro decorations. Han Jing shook her head. Jing, come to my room. Lin Yi's attention was not on the decorations. What Lin Yi wanted to see the most was whether Han Jing could really condense the pill fire. Okay, Han Jing nodded. Meng Yao and Yu Shu, on the other hand, didn't disturb him. They didn't know how to concoct pills at all, and they didn't want to join the fun. They waited quietly in the living room. Brother Lin Yi, is this your room? It's so cozy. Jing wants to move in. Han Jing looked at Lin Yi's room, and her eyes immediately revealed a look of love. Okay, feel free to sit. Lin Yi smiled. As for moving here, forget it. If you like it, I'll get someone to renovate your villa. Then don't trouble yourself. Han Jing shook her head and took off her shoes. She curled up her legs and sat on Lin Yi's bed. You can already condense a pill flame? Does that mean you're golden class now? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, according to that refiner's arts, Jing should be at the early phase of the golden class. I'm just at the entry level. Han Jing nodded. Entry, a few days of golden class. Lin Yi took a deep breath and sighed. I'm really surprised. Jing, you're amazing. Lin Yi didn't pay much attention when he was outside, but now that he was in the room, Lin Yi could tell that Han Jing really did have the spiritual strength of the early phase of the golden class. It wasn't much of a help in actual combat, but Han Jing was a solid golden class. Is Jing really that amazing? Han Jing touched her blushing cheeks, a little embarrassed, as if she'd gotten a compliment from Lin Yi. Jing thought I was stupid. No, you're not. You're one of the strongest prodigies I've ever seen. Lin Yi thought that Zhang Nai Peo and Xiao were prodigies too, right? Their speed was also very fast. Jing is so happy. Jing was very nervous before this. Han Jing said happily. Lin Yi bro, then Jing will show you how to condense a pill flame now, okay? Okay, go ahead. Lin Yi nodded with a serious face. Yeah. Han Jing also withdrew her joyful expression. Her originally adorable little face also became incomparably solemn. She extended her right hand, and in a split second, a bright red flame appeared out of thin air in her palm. This was a fire element pill flame. That fast. Lin Yi's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. This speed was much faster than Lin Yi's condensing speed. But one had to know that the refinement fire formula boss Bai gave him was much more complicated than the one he got from Zhang Liju. It required the qi to circulate through all the meridians in the body for a long time before the refinement fire could be formed in the palm. But Han Jing didn't wait that long, and the refinement fire appeared in her palm right away. This was unbelievable to Lin Yi. What kind of speed was Han Jing at? That's already fast? Jing feels like it's still a bit slow. Han Jing put away the refinement fire in her hand. That's slow. Lin Yi's self-esteem took a huge hit. This Han Jing was a monster. But Lin Yi couldn't understand why Han Jing's refinement fire was so fast. One had to know that according to Boss Bai's formula, it was already very fast to condense the refinement fire in 3 minutes. 5 minutes was the normal time. Although the formula he got from Zhang Liju's tomb was faster than this, it would normally take around a minute or 30 to 50 seconds. But it wasn't as fast as Han Jingjing, who could condense the refinement fire in 20 seconds. Of course, the speed at which the alchemy fire was condensed had nothing to do with alchemy. This was because alchemy was a quiet and patient job. It cannot be rushed. One had to be fully prepared before they could concentrate on refining the alchemy in seclusion until the alchemy was completed or failed. So when the refinement started, the speed of condensing the refinement fire didn't matter at all. Tens of seconds or tens of minutes were the same, as long as the refinement fire was formed. This was also the reason why Boss Bai didn't learn any other after he got used to this formula. After all roads lead to Rome. The only difference was the speed, but the result was the same. There was no need for Boss Bai to study other formulas. Chapter 2036. However, Lin Yi was very puzzled. How did Han Jingjing do it? Jingjing doesn't know either. Jingjing thought it was still a bit slow. Han Jingjing said, Jingjing, how did you do it? From what I know, the mantra I gave you to condense the fire requires at least 3 minutes to condense the fire, right? How did you do it in 20 seconds? Lin Yi was full of doubts. That's because Jingjing modified the mantra for congealing the core fire. Han Jingjing said, it did take 3 minutes before, but Jingjing thought it was too slow. I was afraid that when I demonstrated it to Big Brother Lin Yi Big Brother would get impatient or think that Jingjing was too stupid and ignore me in the future. So Jingjing changed the mantra for condensing the fire. This thing can be changed? Lin Yi felt like he was about to explode. His endurance was reaching its limit. Yes. Han Jingjing nodded matter-of-factly. Then, she quickly opened the tablet and pulled up a picture. It was a meridian diagram of the human body. After enlarging it, she explained to Big Brother Lin Yi, look, the mantra for condensing the fire was like this. It guided the true qi in the body through this main meridian, and then through this meridian to the qi-hai acupoint. But according to Jingjing's judgment, if the true qi didn't go this way, but this meridian, and split into 3 small streams of true qi, passing through a few small meridians near the main meridian, and then to this meridian before finally returning to the qi-hai acupoint, then the speed would be much faster. Although the cross-section of these small meridians is small, their length is shorter than the main meridian. Also, the true qi is split into 3 streams, passing through 3 small meridians. This way, the time is even shorter. Finally, the true qi will gather in this meridian and reach the qi-hai acupoint, saving some time. Similarly, the other meridians are the same. After listening to Han Jingjing's explanation, Lin Yi was so shocked that his eyeballs almost popped out. This works too? This Han Jingjing was really scientific in alchemy. She could even think of this method. It could simply be described as shocking. Jingjing, you're amazing. Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing's tablet and was speechless for a long time. After a while, he came back to his senses and spat out these words. Really? Big Brother Lin Yi, you're the best. Jingjing also feels very awesome after being praised by you. Han Jingjing tilted her head, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a beautiful arc. 2 dimples appeared on her beautiful and fair face. She was obviously very happy. Lin Yi took a deep breath and nodded. Jingjing, you really are a genius. Hee. Actually, my family always praises me, but I don't know if they're really praising me or just spoiling me. But Lin Yi Big Bro's words definitely won't be false. Han Jingjing said happily. Actually, in Jingjing's eyes, this refinement fire condensing chant is a bit complicated. Some of the steps can be skipped, but Jingjing doesn't have the time to analyze and test them one by one. Right now, Jingjing is just shortening some of the qi's path. After hearing Han Jingjing's words, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. The one he had in his hand was Zhang Liju's refinement fire condensing arts, but it wasn't as complicated as Boss Bai's. It was probably what Han Jingjing had said, removing some useless steps. If he gave that refinement fire condensing arts to Han Jingjing, Who knew what kind of shocking things this genius girl could create? But Lin Yi temporarily suppressed that idea. After all, shortening the condensing time didn't have much use for real elixir refinement, unless it was a competition with a fixed time or in some emergency situation. The rest was just showing off in front of other refiners. Other than that, the condensing time of the refinement fire really didn't have any other uses. That was all Lin could think of. Jing. Other than condensing the refinement fire, can you also change the intensity and temperature of the refinement fire? Lin Yi asked. I can't. Han Jingjing's reply made Lin Yi's heart tighten again. If it weren't for Lin Yi's strong will, he would have been beaten black and blue by now. I can. Then show me. Lin Yi said. Okay. Han Jingjing nodded and put down the tablet. She reached out her right hand again, and very quickly, the refinement fire appeared again. But this time, after the refinement fire appeared, Han Jingjing began to control it, making it grow stronger and stronger. Hiss. Lin Yi took in a cold breath as he looked at Han Jingjing's right hand. He wanted to cut it off and put it on his own. Lin Yi was also a dabbler refiner, and naturally, he could clearly feel the fire growing stronger and stronger. What shocked Lin Yi wasn't just that Han Jingjing could change the intensity of the fire, but the precision of Han Jingjing's control. The fire was changing bit by bit, becoming stronger and stronger, and not that kind of big and small. This meant that Han Jingjing could already change the intensity of the fire as she pleased. As expected, the refinement fire on Han Jingjing's right hand gradually became smaller and smaller, until it was so weak that it was about to be extinguished, but it didn't go out. It was obvious that Han Jingjing's control was more precise. What about the temperature? Lin Yi took a deep breath and continued to ask. It can also... At this moment, Han Jingjing's forehead had formed a thin layer of sweat. Obviously, controlling the refinement fire consumed a lot of physical strength. As soon as Han Jingjing's voice fell, Lin Yi suddenly felt that the refinement fire in Han Jingjing's hand quickly became hot, and the temperature of the whole room was raised at this moment. Good. Lin Yi couldn't help but cheer. This Han Jingjing really surprised him. She was actually so talented in the art of alchemy. Brother Lin Yi, Jing can't hold it anymore. Jing can't hold it anymore. Just after Lin Yi cheered, Han Jingjing's breathing became rapid, and she said weakly. In the end, her voice turned into a moan. Lin Yi suddenly had black lines on his head. He naturally knew what Han Jingjing meant. Alchemy was a matter that consumed a lot of physical strength, and controlling the refinement fire out of thin air was the same. Han Jingjing was only an alchemist with the strength of the early stage of the golden class. It was already not bad for her to be able to hold on for so long. So at this time, it was normal that she couldn't hold on anymore. After Han Jingjing finished this sentence, she put away the refinement fire on her right hand and fell on Lin Yi's bed, as if she was very weak and couldn't speak anymore. And the sweat on her forehead instantly rolled onto Lin Yi's bed, making it wet. Chapter 2037. Although the refiner could condense the fire, the point of elixir making was to do it in one go. There couldn't be any interruption in the middle. It wasn't possible to stop halfway, rest, recover for a few days, and then continue. That was impossible. As long as one stopped halfway, the elixir would basically be useless, and there was no way to divide the elixir into multiple batches. Looking at Han Jingjing, who was lying on the bed with a red face, Lin Yi sweated in his heart. This was too easy to misunderstand. Outside the room, Detective Shu 007 widened his eyes and said to Meng Yao in disbelief, Yao sis, shield bro, and that Han Jingjing seemed to be together. Meng Yao naturally heard Han Jingjing's voice. In fact, when Lin Yi and Han Jingjing entered the room, Meng Yao and Yushu didn't even dare to turn on the TV, so they didn't dare to disturb them. Thus, in the quiet villa, the sound became very clear, and they could vaguely hear the conversation in Lin Yi's room. However, although it was full of ambiguity, Meng Yao still trusted Lin Yi's character. So she said, Shu, don't talk nonsense. It's not what you think. But it seems like it. Yushu said. With Detective Shu's judgment, something must have happened inside. Although Ming Yao didn't think that Lin Yi was that kind of person, doing something dirty with Han Jingjing in the room. But Shu's words made her curious, and she wanted to go into the room to see what was going on. However, before Yushu knocked on the door, Lin Yi opened it first and saw Shu standing at the door. He was surprised. "Shu, why are you here?" "Ugh. I heard from Han Jingjing that she couldn't hold on much longer. I was worried about her, so I came to check." Yushu said. "Are you just worried about her?" Lin Yi looked at Xiao Shu, who was trying to see the situation in the room, and asked with a faint smile. "Ugh. Yeah." Yushu, naturally, wouldn't admit that she was here to catch them in the act. "Go in then. Look at how anxious you are," Lin Yi said with a smile as he stepped aside, letting Yushu in. "Sniff, sniff." Yushu sniffed the air, trying to sniff the room for something special. She couldn't smell anything at all, only to be disappointed. Yushu's eyes moved to the bed in the room, and her heart skipped a beat when she saw Han Jingjing lying on the bed. She frowned when she saw the clothes Han Jingjing was wearing. Was it really nothing, or were they fast enough to get dressed already? Yushu walked up to the bed and saw the puddle of water on it. "Holy shit, shield bro, did Han Jingjing do this?" Yushu said, shocked. "Yeah." Lin Yi nodded, not thinking much of it. Yushu, on the other hand, was different. She'd read about it in books before, and she thought that Han Jingjing knew how to do it. Yushu sniffed the puddle of water on the bed with the spirit of research, and asked curiously, "There doesn't seem to be any smell." "That's Jingjing's sweat. What smell could there be?" Lin Yi sweated. What was Yushu thinking? "Ah, she's sweating." Yushu realized that she was thinking too much, but said, "Why is she sweating so much? Did she catch a cold, and Shield Bro cured her? Is that why she's sweating so much?" Condensing alchemy is tiring. Lin Yi looked at Yushu and smiled. "Shu, you're not thinking about something unhealthy again, are you?" "No, I'm just here to comfort Han Jingjing on behalf of Yao Yao Sis. She knows alchemy, so naturally, she'll be very useful to Shield Bro in the future. Yao Yao Sis, and I don't want anything to happen to her," Yushu said confidently. "Really?" Lin Yi asked. "Of course." Yushu nodded. "All right, let her rest for a while. Let's not disturb her," Lin Yi said. Han Jingjing was too tired, so she fell asleep on the bed. Lin Yi didn't want to disturb her. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to use the art of dragon mastery to help her recover her strength, but since she fell asleep, he'd wait until she woke up. At this point, Lin Yi didn't want to hide anything from Han Jingjing anymore. Lin Yi also planned to let Han Jingjing study the refinement art he got from Zhang Liju's tomb. This genius girl didn't hold back at all, telling him such a powerful research result. If Lin Yi kept a secret, then it wouldn't be right, and he could tell that Han Jingjing didn't have any bad intentions towards Lin Yi. On the contrary, she seemed to rely on him. She didn't tell anyone else about good things, but only him. As a result, Lin Yi had quite a good impression of Han Jingjing. And Yushu didn't find anything and couldn't help but feel disappointed. She left the room and saw Meng Yao's questioning gaze. Yushu shook her head. Meng Yao smiled at Yushu's expression. She had guessed that there was nothing going on between Han Jingjing and Lin Yi, and it turned out to be the case. Sitting on the sofa with Yushu, Lin Yi took out the round bead he got from the Tiger Lion Garden and started studying it. This thing was very odd. It looked like calcification, and it was round in shape, but it didn't have much luster. It was a bit dark, but within the bead, Lin Yi could clearly feel that there was a very high level of energy. However, this energy was different from normal spiritual qi. It was more like some kind of pure qi was injected into it, and he didn't know what it was for. Lin Yi's instincts told him that this was most likely a good one, but even if it was a good thing, Lin Yi didn't know what it was. He could only take a picture with his phone and send it to Old Lin. Old Lin was very knowledgeable, and he might know what it was and what it was for. When he sent the email, he told Old Lin about the origin of this thing, as well as the fact that there was energy within it. But, to Lin Yi's disappointment, Old Lin's reply came very quickly. Old Lin's answer was that he didn't know, and he'd never seen or heard of it before. "How is it?" Yushu was a little anxious as well, wanting to know what it was. Nothing much. The old man doesn't know either. Lin, he shook his head. Looks like this thing really isn't common. Chapter 2038. That's true. I'll send another message to Faubert and ask. Lin, he heard Ming Yao's suggestion and felt that it was doable. He sent another message to Faubert. This time, Uncle Fu didn't reply. Instead, he called him back. Faubert. Lin, he picked up the phone. This thing you sent me? I think I remember it. There was something similar in the sect treasury, but there were too many things in there, and I didn't pay much attention to the things that weren't useful to my training. Faubert hesitated and said embarrassedly, I didn't have to worry about anything in the sect. The only thing I had to do was train. Oh, there's something like this? Lin, he was surprised. If Faubert had something like this in the sect treasury, then it shouldn't be trash. Yes. If my master was here, he might recognize it, but Faubert said, I really don't remember what it is. Forget it. It's fine. Since you don't remember it, there's no need to worry. Lin, he didn't dwell on the problem. Faubert, you go ahead. I'll look into it myself. Okay, I'm really sorry. I couldn't help much. Faubert had always been grateful to Lin Yi, and he always wanted to help Lin Yi, especially when Lin Yi not only helped him, but also Grandma Sunday. Faubert couldn't thank him enough, but Lin Yi didn't have anything to trouble him with. This one time, he couldn't help him. It's all right. Lin Yi smiled. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi continued to fiddle with the bead in his hand. Since Han Jingjing had not woken up yet, Lin Yi had nothing to do now, so he naturally continued to study this treasure. That lion has been with Sky Thunder Pig and General Wei Wu for so long. His eyes shouldn't be that bad. Xiao Shu mumbled, Looks like this is a good treasure, but I don't know how to use it. Thunder Pig? Lin Yi's eyes lit up. At the mention of the Skybolt Pig, Lin Yi thought of a way to test whether or not it was a good thing. Little Shu, go get the Skybolt Pig, Lin Yi said. Oh, Lightning Pig? Yushu blinked, but got up and walked out the villa's back door anyways. Not long after, she was back with the pig in her arms. Skybolt Pig, take a look and see if this is a treasure, Lin Yi said as he placed the bead on the floor in front of Skybolt Pig. Skybolt Pig's ability to identify treasures was extraordinary. This guy was very good. He could tell what was valuable and what wasn't with just one look. Meng Yao and Yushu suddenly understood Lin Yi's intention. Lin Yi wanted to use Skybolt Pig to test the value of this thing. Rawr! Seeing the round bead on the ground, the Sky Thunder Pig cried out in excitement. It used its two front paws to pick up the bead and held it in its bosom, as if it had found a rare treasure. It really is a good thing. Lin Yi nodded. Skybolt Pig's action said it all. If it wasn't a good thing, Skybolt Pig wouldn't react like this. One had to know that this little guy wouldn't be interested in normal treasures. Rawr! Skybolt Pig heard Lin Yi's words and nodded. Skybolt Pig, looking at you, you must know what this is, right? Lin Yi pointed at the bead in Skybolt Pig's arms. Rawr! Skybolt Pig nodded. Chapter 2051, Spiritual Beast Core. Should we ask Faubert? Meng Yao suddenly said. Faubert used to be from a big sect. Would he know what this is? You're right. I'll send a message to Faubert and ask. Lin Yi heard Ming Yao's suggestion and felt that it was doable. He sent another message to Faubert. This time, Faubert didn't reply but called him directly. Faubert. Lin Yi picked up the phone. This thing you sent me. I think I remember it. There was something like this in the sect's treasury, but there were too many things in there. I didn't pay much attention to the things that weren't useful for my training. Faubert hesitated and said, embarrassed, I didn't have to worry about anything in the sect. The only thing I had to do was train. Oh, there's something like this? Lin Yi was surprised. If Faubert had something like this in the sect's treasury, then it shouldn't be trash. Yes. If my master was here, he might recognize it, but Faubert said, I really don't remember what it is. Forget it, it's fine. Since you don't remember, there's no need to worry. Lin Yi didn't dwell on this question and said, Faubert, you go ahead. I'll look into it myself. Okay, I'm really sorry. I couldn't help much. Faubert had always been grateful to Lin Yi and always wanted to help Lin Yi, especially when Lin not only helped him, but also Grandma's son. Fauber was very grateful. However, Lenny didn't have anything to trouble him. This time, he couldn't help him. It's fine, Lenny smiled. After hanging up the phone, he continued to play with the bead in his hand. Since Han Jingjing hadn't woken up, he had nothing to do now, so he continued to study this treasure. That lion has been with Skybolt Pig and General Wei Wu for so long. His eyes shouldn't be that bad. Shu muttered, "Looks like this is a good treasure, but I don't know how to use it." Skybolt Pig? Lin Yi's eyes lit up. Mentioning Skybolt Pig made Lin Yi think of a way to test whether this thing was good or not. "Shu, go get Skybolt Pig." Lin Yi said, "Oh, Skybolt Pig?" Yushu paused, but she still got up and walked out of the villa's back door. After a while, she carried Skybolt Pig into the villa. "Skybolt Pig, take a look and see if this is a treasure," he said as he placed the bead on the floor in front of Skybolt Pig. Skybolt Pig's ability to identify treasures was extraordinary. This guy was very good. He could tell what was valuable and what wasn't. Meng Yao and Yushu suddenly understood Lin Yi's intention. He wanted to use Skybolt Pig to test the value of this thing. Chirp, chirp. Seeing the round bead on the ground, the Sky Thunder Pig cried out in excitement. It used its two front paws to pick up the bead and held it in its bosom, as if it had found a rare treasure. "It really is a good thing." Lin Yi nodded. Skybolt Pig's action said it all. If it wasn't a good thing, Skybolt Pig wouldn't react like this. After all, this little guy wouldn't be interested in normal treasures. Chirp, chirp. Skybolt Pig heard Lin Yi's words and nodded. "Skybolt Pig, looking at you, you must know what this thing is, right?" Lin Yi pointed at the bead in Skybolt Pig's arms. Chirp, chirp. Skybolt Pig nodded. "Then what is this thing? What does it do?" Lin Yi saw Skybolt Pig nodding and quickly asked. Chirp, chirp. Skybolt Pig gestured with his paws and pointed at the solid wood on the floor of the villa. He shook his head. "Oh, you're saying that you can't write on the floor?" Lin Yi suddenly remembered that Skybolt Pig could write with his paws to communicate with Lin Yi on the Ice Palace Mountain. Chirp, chirp. Skybolt Pig quickly nodded. "Let's go to the backyard." Lin Yi, naturally, didn't want to go to the front yard. He could see what was going on in the villa from the outside. If someone saw a pig communicating with a human on the floor, wouldn't they be scared to death? The backyard, on the other hand, was private property. It was surrounded by a high wall, and people wouldn't be able to see it unless they climbed the wall. Meng Yao and Yushu had heard from Lin Yi that Skybolt Pig could write, but it was their first time seeing it. They couldn't help but wonder. "What is this thing?" Lin Yi pointed at the bead in Skybolt Pig's arms. Skybolt Pig used his front paw to write on the soft soil in the backyard. "Spirit Beast Essence Core." "Spirit Beast Essence Core?" Lin Yi paused. "What is this?" Spirit beasts form an essence core in their body, and spirit beasts of sky class and above have an essence core. Skybolt Pig said, "You're saying that this is a sky class spirit beast essence core?" Lin Yi asked, surprised. Chirp, chirp. Skybolt Pig nodded with the bead in his arms. "What is this thing used for?" Lin Yi asked. "Spirit beasts can use it for training, and humans can use it to make elixirs." Skybolt Pig said, "Training? Oh, you could just train with me. You don't need this," Lin Yi said as he snatched the bead from Skybolt Pig's arms. Chirp, chirp. Skybolt Pig felt wronged and wrote, "Even for training, spirit beasts don't know how to use it." "Don't know how to use it? That's even better." Lin Yi was glad that Skybolt Pig didn't know how to use it. If the lion used it on him, it would be his turn to get it to Lin Yi. What kind of spirit beast essence core does this thing belong to, and what level is it? Lin Yi asked. "My level is too low. I can't tell." Skybolt Pig wrote. "Then how do you use it for making elixirs?" Lin Yi asked. "I don't know." Skybolt Pig wrote again. "Even Zhang Liju doesn't know." Lin Yi was surprised that even Skybolt Pig didn't know. "Maybe he does, but he never told me." Skybolt Pig shook his head. "I see. All right then." Lin Yi put the bead away. Although it didn't seem to be of much use at the moment, it might be useful in the future. Skybolt Pig looked at the treasure being taken away by Lin Yi and felt helpless, but he didn't dare do anything to Lin Yi. After all, it was only a legend that an essence could be used for training. Skybolt Pig didn't know the exact method of training. Chapter 2039. It wasn't as beneficial as Lin E helping it level up. During this period of time, it and General Weiwu had been following Lin E, and now they were already Mystic Late Phase Peak Gaozhu and Gaozhu. This leveling speed was much faster than that illusory inner core. Therefore, Skybolt Pig was only a little disappointed before he returned to his own place to play with General Weiwu. Lin E, on the other hand, returned to his room with Meng Yao and Yushu. Han Jingjing woke up as well, stretching lazily as she let out a seductive moan. Yao Yao, don't you think that this Han Jingjing is trying to seduce Shield Bro a little? Yushu whispered to Meng Yao. Is that so? Meng Yao blinked. Han Jingjing's so dumb. She shouldn't have any ulterior motives, right? Shu's dumb too. Yushu said. Do you think anyone can be Shu? Meng Yao said, I don't think so, but this Han Jingjing does have some talent in elixir making. Otherwise, Lin E wouldn't think so highly of her. After all, Lin E rushed to Han Jingjing's room the moment she woke up. Jing Jing, you're awake? Lin E bro, did Jing Jing fall asleep? Han Jingjing rubbed her eyes sleepily. I'm sorry, I was so tired, I couldn't take it anymore, and fell asleep. I didn't do it on purpose. Lin E bro, you're not mad, are you? Why would I be mad? Lin E smiled. You used up a lot of chi to condense the fire. It's normal to be tired. Jing Jing thought that I was useless. It's good that I'm normal. Han Jingjing said happily. Lin E bro, Jing Jing learned this now. But I used up all my chi just now. Although this refiner's arts can recover my chi really quickly, I'll need to go back and train for a few days to recover. I can't practice with Lin E bro for now. No need, I can recover now. Lin E said, however, don't tell anyone about what happened next. Not even your brother. Can you do that? Of course, Jing Jing's mouth is very tight. She never talks nonsense. Han Jingjing said, no one in the family knows that Jing Jing is learning alchemy. Even my brother doesn't know what Jing Jing is doing. And that's good. Lin E said, because what's going to happen next might be unimaginable, so you must keep it a secret and not tell anyone. In that case, I'll only be good to Big Brother Lin E from now on. I won't have any contact with anyone else. That way, I won't have a chance to say it. Han Jingjing nodded and promised. There's no need for that. There's no problem with normal interactions. Lin E broke into a sweat. This Han Jingjing wouldn't be with anyone else in the future. Was she going to cling on to him for the rest of her life? However, this kind of alchemy genius, Lin E really couldn't bear to push her to others. An evil thought of taking her for himself arose in the bottom of Lin Yi's heart. Lin E quickly shook his head and dispelled this unrealistic idea. In any case, Jing Jing will listen to Big Brother Lin E in the future. Han Jingjing said, give me your hand. Lin E said, in a while, I will help you recover your physical strength. At the same time, I will also help you improve your strength. You just need to circulate the alchemist's auxiliary mantra like usual. Okay, Jing Jing understands. Han Jingjing stretched out her hands and handed them to Lin E. Lin E reached out and checked Han Jingjing's pulse. But what surprised Lin E was that Han Jingjing didn't seem to ask why recently. It seemed like she trusted what he said more. She didn't question anything he asked her to do. Fortunately, he didn't have any bad thoughts towards her. Otherwise, this genius girl would trust others too easily. This wasn't a good thing. If she was cheated, it would be too late to regret it. In the past, Lin E and Han Jingjing weren't very familiar, so he didn't care so much. But now that he was familiar with Han Jingjing, and Han Jingjing knew alchemy, Lin E had to watch out for her in the future. He couldn't let her be cheated by others. Lin E directly circulated the second level of the art of dragon mastery. Now, Lin E could already circulate the second level skillfully. Although it hadn't reached the perfect state, it was easy to help others recover their physical strength and improve their strength. Plus, Lin E didn't require Han Jingjing to reach Earth class. As long as she reached Mystic Late Phase Peak, that would be enough. Han Jingjing was operating the alchemist auxiliary mental cultivation method when she suddenly felt a powerful energy that belonged to her pouring into her body from her meridians. Han Jingjing's eyes flashed with a strange light, but she didn't have time to hesitate. She hurriedly operated the mental cultivation method and absorbed this energy into her body. Golden class early phase. Very quickly, Han Jingjing's physical strength was replenished, and she returned to her previous state. This speed surprised and delighted Han Jingjing. So, recovering strength could be this fast. But it didn't stop there. Han Jingjing's strength was still rising. Golden class early phase peak. Golden class mid-phase peak. In the blink of an eye, she broke through to mystic. When Han Jingjing broke through to mystic, there was no feeling of a limit. This made Lin Yi feel strange. Whether it was for Faubert, Chintan, Ling Shan, Yu Tian, or the others, they all had some difficulty breaking through the barrier. It wasn't too hard, but there was always a barrier. However, this did not happen to Han Jingjing. He wasn't sure if it was because of the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, or because Han Jingjing was practicing a supplementary art for alchemists, so it was much easier to level up than other arts, and so, very quickly, Han Jingjing's strength broke through Mystic early phase and reached Mystic late phase peak. The second level of the Art of Dragon Mastery was much faster than the first level. It had only been an hour, and Han Jingjing had become a Mystic late phase peak. Although this master didn't live up to his name, his strength was still there. Lenny bro, Jing is a Mystic late phase peak now? Is that true? Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Lenny bro, you're too amazing? Jing admires you so much. You can turn Jing into Mystic in an instant. Woo! Lenny bro is a genius. Jing is a big idiot. I've been training for so many days, and I'm only golden class early phase. But Lenny bro can turn Jing into Mystic late phase peak in an instant. Chapter 2040. Ugh. Actually, you're not stupid. Lin Yi sweated as he listened to Han Jingjing's words, but his pride was greatly satisfied. Yes, Jing's family actually said that Jing is a genius, but depends on who I'm comparing myself to. Compared to Lenny bro, Jing isn't a genius anymore. Han Jingjing said, so I've decided I'll always be by Lenny bro's side. That way I'll be influenced by Lenny bro and become a genius too. Jing, try condensing a golden class second level refinement fire and see if you can control it. Lin Yi said, golden class second level. Jing hasn't studied it yet. With Jing's strength, she could only condense a golden class first level refinement fire, and she didn't have the time to calculate and modify the second level refinement fire chant, so it might not work. Han Jingjing said worriedly. Try it. Lin Yi said, yes, I'll try it then. Han Jingjing nodded and found the chant and control method of a golden class second level refinement fire in the tablet. After a few times, she memorized it and reached her hand out to try 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just when Lin Yi was about to give up, a refinement fire appeared in Han Jingjing's hand. A golden class second level refinement fire. Lin Yi could tell with one look that the refinement fire in Han Jingjing's hand was a golden class second level refinement fire. Because Lin Yi could condense it as well, according to the refinement fire chant that Zhang Liju left behind, Lin Yi could even condense a mystic first level refinement fire, but it was useless. He could condense it, but he couldn't control it. No matter if Lin Yi wanted to change the temperature or the intensity of the fire, the refinement fire would suddenly go out. Speaking of geniuses, Lin Yi was quite a genius, but if he couldn't maintain the refinement fire, everything would be in vain. Can you change the intensity and temperature? Lin Yi asked. Jing, give it a try. As Han Jingjing spoke, she began to change the intensity of the alchemic fire in her hand from small to large, and then from large to small. The same was true for the temperature. It went from low to high, then from high to low. Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing in front of him and was filled with emotions. He really wanted to hug her and give her a kiss. What kind of genius was she? She could even do this? Good, very good. Continue. Let's see how long you can last. Lenny couldn't help but praise. Han Jingjing nodded. However, after about half an hour or so, Han Jingjing's face began to look worse, and the sweat on her forehead increased. Big brother Lenny, are you done? Jingjing can't hold on any longer. Han Jingjing finally couldn't hold on any longer. It seemed that condensing the pill fire was an extremely exhausting matter. Especially changing the fire's temperature and intensity, it took up a lot more stamina. Han Jingjing was a mystic late-phase peak, but this short amount of time was enough for her to be exhausted. Her forehead was covered in sweat. All right, stop. Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing's exhausted look and sighed in his heart. Although Han Jingjing was a genius, she couldn't make up for the lack of strength. No wonder Bingtang once said that alchemists were so rare. Even an alchemist with the strength of a yellow rank 3rd level might not be able to refine a yellow rank 3rd level elixir. Even if you could condense and control a golden level 3 pill fire, you wouldn't be able to do it if you didn't have the stamina to maintain it. Han Jingjing was a mystic late phase peak, but she still couldn't maintain a golden level 2 pill fire for too long. With Han Jingjing's current stamina, she could only maintain a furnace of golden level 2 pill fire. Half an hour wasn't short, but it wasn't long either. Of course, if it was golden level 1 pill fire, it shouldn't be much of a problem. With Han Jingjing's current strength, she should be able to make a few more furnaces. Phew! Lin Yi, bro, Jingjing is so useless. I'm already a mystic late phase peak, but I can only maintain a golden level 2 pill fire for half an hour. Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi with a face full of shame. It's already not easy. It's your first time condensing a golden level 2 pill fire, and you can control it as you please. This is already so much better than many people. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and said with some shame, "You're even better than me. Jingjing is not as good as Lin Yi, bro." Lin Yi, bro, don't say that. Jingjing will get arrogant. Han Jingjing rubbed her hands embarrassedly and squinted her eyes. 2 dimples hung on her pretty face like a happy kitten. I heard that in order to concoct a 2nd level pill, you need to be an Earth class refiner, and in order to concoct a 3rd level pill, you need to be a Sky class master. That's why you can control a 2nd level pill fire for half an hour when you're only a mystic late phase peak. Lin Yi said, "This is already a very good result. This amount of time is enough to make a furnace of pill fire." Really? Then it seems that Jingjing isn't an idiot. Han Jingjing said, "But Lin Yi, bro, from Jingjing's point of view, the reason why I only lasted for half an hour this time is because of the pill fire condensation chant. This chant is too complicated. It makes the chi pass through several meridians and acupoints of the body. This will definitely waste a lot of time and energy. If I could simplify this chant, I might be able to last another 10 minutes or so. Jingjing, you don't need to practice the mantra I gave you previously. Take a look at this mantra." Lin Yi said as he took out Zhang Liju's notes and flipped to the page with the chant. "Write this down, and also the other types of pill fire condensation chant as well. Study it when you get back. This is much easier than the chant you have." This is too easy." Han Jingjing looked at the 1st level pill fire condensation chant in the notes Lin Yi gave her. She gasped. This is what Lin Yi bro summarized and improved? It's even easier than Jingjing's. Lin Yi bro is indeed better than Jingjing. Man, this isn't my conclusion. It's someone else's. Lin Yi didn't want to lie to Han Jingjing. Lin Yi felt that it was a bit embarrassing, but Lin Yi didn't like to brag to his friends. Something this powerful can get into Lin Yi bro's hands. That's enough to prove that Lin Yi bro is extraordinary. Han Jingjing said, still in awe. Lin Yi didn't say anything, but he thought to himself, was this genius girl really stupid or just pretending? Every time she said something, it always satisfied Lin Yi's ego. Chapter 2041. Then make a copy. Remember, don't let anyone see it, Lin Yi said. Han Jingjing said, and started taking pictures with the tablet. After taking pictures of the condensing technique, Han Jingjing didn't touch the other things in the notes. Lin Yi didn't let her see it, and she didn't ask for it. At the back, there are some notes and recipes written by first and second level golden class refiners. You can buy them too and study them when you get back. Try making some simple elixirs. Since Lin Yi had taken out the notes, he wouldn't be stingy. But the higher level things, Lin Yi didn't want Han Jingjing to look at it for the time being. After all, Han Jingjing's strength hadn't reached that level yet. If she were to study those things too early, it would be like biting off more than she could chew. After taking pictures of the things she needed, Han Jingjing closed the notes and handed it back to Lin Yi. Lin Yi bro, I'm returning it to you. Jingjing will go back and study it. Call me anytime if there's any news. Lin Yi nodded and put the notes away. Han Jingjing went home happily with the tablet, and Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing's back. The shock in his heart couldn't be any greater, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. Shield bro, that Han Jingjing seems to be very powerful. Yushu stood beside Lin Yi and said to Lin Yi, very powerful indeed. Lin Yi said, I'm afraid that the heavy responsibility of helping little girl rock candy refined pills will fall on her. Lin Yi had already lost confidence in his alchemy level, but he didn't expect that there would be a light at the end of the tunnel. He could wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it effortlessly. A neighbor and classmate that he met by chance was actually an alchemy genius. This scientific method of alchemy was simply unprecedented and would never be repeated in the future. Compared to Han Jingjing, those alchemists were simply too weak. This little girl was really not an ordinary kind of valiant. Shield bro, I don't think that Han Jingjing is stupid. Yushu said, not stupid. Lin Yi blinked as he turned to Yushu. It's nothing, Shu was just saying. Yushu changed the topic after that. Shield bro, it's time for breakfast. Grandma's son's ready. Is it time for breakfast already? Lin Yi didn't think that a night had passed without him noticing. If he knew this would happen, he would have asked Han Jingjing to stay for breakfast. After breakfast, Lin Yi didn't waste any more time and went back to his room to train. Even if it was Han Jingjing, due to the limitations of her own strength, she probably wouldn't be able to concoct a golden third-level elixir. So the only thing he could do was to increase his strength. As long as Lin Yi became a Sky-class master and increased Han Jingjing's strength to Earth-class late-phase peak, then Han Jingjing might be able to make Ice-Hard Jade Bone Pill. Although normally, Earth-class late-phase peak strength wasn't enough to support a Golden-class third-level refiner's refinement, and the weakest one would be a Sky-class early-phase master. But Han Jingjing's refinement and control method had been simplified and improved. Han Jingjing would probably be able to make a Golden-class third-level pill when she was Earth-class late-phase peak. And Lin Yi could only place his hope on this. This was a goal. He wanted to become a Sky-class, and Han Jingjing a Golden-class third-level refiner. This way, no matter how domineering Bingtang Girl was, she wouldn't make things difficult for Feng Xiao. Since he had this goal, Lin Yi naturally couldn't waste any more time. He had to work hard. Thinking about how Han Jingjing worked hard every day to calculate some formulas and meridian diagrams, even when she was walking, this gave Lin Yi the motivation to work hard. But not long after Lin Yi entered the Jade Space to train, he heard a loud sound not far from the villa. Even Lin Yi's room felt a little shaky. The loud sound brought Lin Yi back to reality from his training, and he quickly ran out of the room. Lin Yi could already confirm that the sound came from Han Jingjing's villa, and so Lin Yi's heart was even more anxious. Han Jingjing's importance to Lin Yi was very clear, and Lin Yi couldn't let any harm come to her. When Lin Yi came to the living room, Meng Yao and Yushu were also panicking. Lin Yi, you heard that loud sound too? Meng Yao asked anxiously. Yeah, I heard it. It seemed to come from Han Jingjing's villa. Lin Yi frowned. I don't know what happened. Then let's go check it out. Meng Yao, naturally, understood how important Han Jingjing's skills were to Lin Yi. She quickly followed Lin Yi out of the villa, looking in the direction of Han Jingjing's villa. Seeing that there were no signs of damage outside Han Jingjing's villa, Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the house didn't explode, but he didn't know what happened inside. Coming to the door of Han Jingjing's villa, Lin Yi quickly pressed the doorbell. After a while, someone came to open the door, but it wasn't Han Jingjing, but Han Jingjing's brother, Han Xiaoqiao. However, although it was Han Xiaoqiao who opened the door, Lin Yi still breathed a sigh of relief, because Lin Yi didn't see too much panic on Han Xiaoqiao's face, which meant that the problem shouldn't be too big. Xiaoqiao, what happened just now? What made the loud sound? Lin Yi asked. The loud noise was caused by Big Sister Jingjing, but I don't know what she was doing. Her face was covered in soot, and she came out of the room with dirt all over her face. Then, she went to take a bath. Han Xiaoqiao shook his head. He also didn't know what Han Jingjing was doing. Dirty and dirty? Lin Yi heard that Han Jingjing was fine, and she could still go to take a shower. He was relieved, so he said, then wait for her to finish taking a shower. And okay, Lin Yi, please come in. When Han Xiaoqiao came to open the door, he was still holding a book in his hand. Obviously, he was just studying. This brother and sister were really diligent, which made Lin Yi admire them. Chapter 2042. Date, 6th of November. While they were talking, the security patrol car of the property management company drove over quickly. Obviously, a nearby neighbor had called the property management company. The patrol car stopped, and a few security guards got out of the car and asked, "Excuse me, did the explosion happen here? What happened? Do you need help?" The owners of these luxurious villas were big customers of the property company, and their annual fees were tens of thousands of yuan. It was no wonder that they were so attentive, rushing to the scene as soon as something happened. "Oh, it's nothing. My friend might have accidentally blown up the pressure cooker while cooking." Lin Yi guessed that Han Jingjing must have encountered some problems when she was studying alchemy, but he couldn't tell the security the truth. He just found an excuse to cover it up. "I see, it's fine then." The leader of the security team let out a sigh of relief when he heard Lin Yi's words. He was afraid of a gas explosion or a high-voltage explosion. If these things exploded, it would be related to the property company's maintenance, and they would have to bear the responsibility. However, after hearing that it was just a pressure cooker explosion and there seemed to be no casualties, he was naturally relieved. "Haha, thank you," Lin Yi said. "It's fine, you guys are the owners of the villa next door, right? Just call us if anything happens." The security team leader saw that the door of Lin Yi's villa was open, and naturally, he guessed that they were the owners of the villa next door. "Okay, you guys go back to your work." Lin Yi waved his hand, indicating that they could leave. The security team got into the patrol car and drove away quickly. Meng Yao and Yu Shu let out a sigh of relief when they heard that Han Jingjing was fine. Yao Shu, you guys go back. I'll wait here and see what she's doing," Lin Yi said. "And okay, it's safe," Meng Yao reminded. "Don't worry." Lin Yi followed Han Xiaoqiao into the villa, while Meng Yao and Yu Shu went back to their own villa. "Lin Yi bro, wait for sis here. I'm going to read." Han Xiaoqiao didn't seem to be very sociable. After pouring a drink for Lin Yi, he got up and went back to his room to read. Lin Yi nodded and said, "Go on with your work, don't worry about me." In the living room, with nothing to do, Lin Yi continued to enter the space of the jade pendant to cultivate. Anyway, there were no outsiders in Han Jingjing's house, so Lin didn't need to hide. About half an hour later, footsteps came from upstairs, followed by Han Jingjing's muttering, "It's over, it's over." Jingjing's disfigured. "I'm done for, brother. We not like me anymore." "Whoa, Jingjing?" Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard Han Jingjing's words. She shouted upstairs, "Jingjing, I'm here. I'm downstairs in the living room." "Ah, Lin Yi bro, you're here to see Jingjing?" Han Jingjing was happy to hear Lin Yi's voice, but stopped when she was about to go downstairs. There was a deep cut on her face. It was on her forehead, and it wouldn't be too obvious if she covered it with her hair, but Han Jingjing still had some. Even with Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine, there would still be a cut left. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Han Xiaoqiao didn't tell Han Jingjing that he was here, but then he remembered that Han Xiaoqiao went back to his room to read, and Han Jingjing was in the shower. It was normal that he didn't tell her. "Jingjing, you're hurt? Come down and let me see," Lin Yi said. "Ah, Lin Yi bro, already know." Han Jingjing didn't want to go downstairs like this, but after hearing Lin Yi's words, she knew that she couldn't hide it anymore. She could only go downstairs. When she saw Lin Yi, tears of grievance fell down. "Linny bro, my head is broken, and my face is disfigured. Will you not like Jing Jing in the future?" "Why do you say that?" Lin Yi realized that Han Jingjing was actually very fragile. Jing Jing thinks that Lenny bro only likes beautiful girls, not ugly ones. Han Jingjing said, "Otherwise, why would Lenny bro be surrounded by beautiful girls?" "Ugh, that's just a coincidence," Lenny said. "Plus, Jing Jing is also very beautiful. But Jing Jing's face is disfigured now." Han Jingjing pointed at the gauze on her forehead and said, It's okay. I'll help you heal it." Lin Yi smiled slightly. He buckled the pulse on Han Jingjing's arm with one hand and put the other hand on Han Jingjing's forehead. It only took a few seconds. Before Han Jingjing could react, he quickly took it away and said, "It's done." "It's done?" Han Jingjing was slightly surprised. Just now, she only felt a slight chill on her forehead, and then Lin Yi told her it was done. "And if you don't believe me, you could take a look." Lin Yi pointed at Han Jingjing's forehead and said, It doesn't seem to hurt too much." Han Jingjing touched her forehead. She was a little surprised. Out of trust in Lin Yi, she directly removed the gauze on her forehead and touched the wound with her hand. There was no wound at all, except for the injury medicine on her hand. The skin was smooth and delicate. There was no sign of a wound at all. "Go and wash off the injury medicine." Lin Yi smiled. "It's really done?" Han Jingjing didn't expect that Lin Yi actually reached out and touched it, and it healed her wound. "Isn't it too magical? Won't you know if you see it yourself?" said Lin Yi. And Han Jingjing quickly ran to the bathroom. There was an exclamation in the bathroom, and then there was the sound of water washing her face. After a while, Han Jingjing ran out of the bathroom. She was excited. "Big brother Lin Yi, it's really done. You're so amazing. Jingjing admires you so much." Lin Yi was a little embarrassed by Han Jingjing. He really didn't know what to say to be admired by a genius girl. In fact, Lin Yi's road to success was really difficult. The only lucky possibility was that his physique was just right to practice the art of dragon mastery. In addition, Lin Yi put in more effort than others, so he had some magical powers that seemed very powerful today. However, Lin Yi was also aware of his own shortcomings. His strength today came entirely from hard work and coincidences. Lin Yi couldn't compare to the disciples of the hidden aristocratic families, and he couldn't compare to the disciples of the ancient sects and ancient aristocratic families. Without the space of the jade pendant, Lin Yi might still be at the golden rank. It was fine if he didn't have a master to guide him. It could be said that on the road of cultivation, Lin Yi didn't even have a person to consult. Chapter 2043. His master left when he was a few years old, and old Lin didn't even know as much as Lin Yi did. The only person who could be called his second master was Jiao Yazi, but he had a bad memory. So on the path of cultivation, Lin Yi had to figure it out himself. What was worse was that Lin Yi didn't have a master to guide him, and he didn't have any treasures to use. The only pill he had was probably the Qi gathering pill. He was a world of difference compared to the disciples of the ancient sects and noble houses who had been using spiritual herbs since they were young. But what Lin Yi had was a stubborn and hard-working heart. He had never given up before, and he'd been trying his best to make up for the difference between him and the disciples of the hidden houses and the disciples of the ancient sects. Xiao Xiao was a golden class in a month, and Naipeo was a mystic late-phase peak in a few months. Lin Yi could only be envious. Fortunately, the jade space was a godly item, and Lin Yi was able to leave his opponents far behind. Of course, the jade space was only making up for the lack of qi in the air. If there was enough qi in the air, the art of dragon mastery alone would be enough for him to stand at the top of the world of practitioners. Of course, Lin Yi didn't complain about it. Solo practitioners naturally couldn't compare to the disciples of the noble houses and sections. Lin Yi's achievements today were already very good. I'm not really good, just good at healing, Lin Yi said faintly. Right? What were you doing before? Why did you make such a loud noise? I heard it from the villa next door. This, actually, the cauldron that we bought together exploded. Han Jingjing frowned when she mentioned the previous matter. Jingjing originally wanted to refine an ordinary yellow rank first-grade medicinal pill, the energy recovery pill, but I didn't expect that when I refined it according to the recipe, the medicinal pill didn't succeed, and the cauldron exploded. Exploded? Lin, he was stunned. That medicine cauldron is made of copper, so its quality should be pretty good. Why did it suddenly explode? Jing Jing doesn't know either. Jing Jing has already converted the pill formula's condensation technique into a temperature and time curve. She only needs to follow the curve and time to control the alchemy fire's temperature and intensity. Jing Jing's calculation is already very accurate. In theory, it should have succeeded, but the medicine cauldron exploded. Could it be that this cauldron can't be used for alchemy? Lenny frowned. But in theory, a cauldron made of copper should be very sturdy. You can't concoct pills? Is there a need for a specialized cauldron? Han Jingjing also looked at Lin Yi with some doubt. Let me ask. Lin Yi took out his phone. He wanted to call Boss Bai directly, but when he thought that he didn't have any achievements in alchemy, he was a little discouraged. If Boss Bai asked, Lin Yi couldn't hide it, but if he told the truth, how could Lin Yi explain the explosion of the medicine cauldron? Lin Yi didn't want anyone to know about Han Jingjing's matter for the time being. This was a trump card in his hands. Lin Yi didn't want Han Jingjing to be targeted by some forces. After all, Han Jingjing's alchemy skills were quite popular even in the ancient sections. So, after hesitating for a while, Lin Yi called Bai Weitua directly. In theory, as Boss Bai's grandson, even if Bai Weitua didn't know alchemy, he should know a lot about alchemy. After all, Bai Weitua also said that he learned a lot from Boss Bai. Big brother Lin, why did you suddenly call me? Bai Weitua was a little surprised to receive Lin Yi's call. Today was Sunday. Bai Weitua was sleeping in the dormitory early in the morning. He hadn't gotten up yet, and Lin Yi's call came in. Weitua, I have something to ask you, said Lin Yi. Big brother Lin, if there's anything, just say it. Why do you need to ask? Don't be so distant. I will tell you everything I know. Bai Weitua was very grateful to Lin Yi for going to Tiger Park yesterday. Himeyua's impression of him was also a lot better. At least he had successfully gotten Himeyua's QQ number, and he could chat with Himeyua online. It's about alchemy, said Lin Yi. Alchemy? I really don't know much about this. If you have knowledge in this area, you'd better ask my grandfather. When Bai Weitua heard Lin Yi's question, he quickly said, Big brother Lin, it's not that I don't want to answer, but I really know too much. Don't worry, it's just a simple question. Lin Yi said, the cauldron used for alchemy, an imitation antique from the antique street. Is that okay? What? Bai Weitua heard Lin Yi's question and froze. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How is that possible? Even if it's a real antique, if it's not designed according to the requirements and specifications of an alchemist, it can't be used for alchemy. It's a handicraft. If it's used for alchemy, the cauldron will explode. It can explode? Lin Yi sweated. It seemed that Han Jingjing's explosion wasn't for nothing. Even a real antique that wasn't used for alchemy could explode, not to mention an imitation cauldron. Not having a good teacher to teach them was a waste. Lin Yi was speechless. He and Han Jingjing were thinking too much. Lin Yi saw from Zhang Liju's notes that the cauldron used for alchemy didn't need to be too special. A normal copper or iron cauldron could do the job. But Lin Yi neglected one point, and that was that alchemists had their own cauldrons. These cauldrons could be made of copper or iron, but the ones sold on the street were trash. They couldn't be used for alchemy at all. But Zhang Liju didn't explain it clearly. In fact, if Zhang Liju's notes were seen by a disciple of the hidden house or an ancient sect, they'd definitely understand that the cauldron in here was a specialized cauldron. They wouldn't be like Lin Yi and think that it was a normal cauldron sold on the street. This was also why Yupanhu found it strange when he heard that Lin Yi and Han Jingjing went to the antique street and bought 2 broken cauldrons. Something that even the worst alchemists didn't use. Why would Lin Yi and Han Jingjing buy it? Do they think that they could use it to make elixirs? They didn't even know if they could use it or not. Yeah, normal cauldrons can explode for sure. If you want to make elixirs, you need a specialized cauldron for the alchemist, and it has to be of the same level. For example, a first-level elixir needs a first-level cauldron. Of course, a second-level cauldron can not only make a second-level elixir, but also a first-level elixir. Bai Weidahua still had this bit of knowledge. What, boss? Don't tell me you've learned alchemy already. That's really fast. Chapter 2044. Not yet. I'm just asking. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Right, do you have a good cauldron that can be used for alchemy? There is one, but Grandpa already planned to pass it to his last disciple. Bai Weidahua said, you know that my brother and I don't have this talent, so my grandpa didn't want to pass it to us at all. Just one? There's nothing else? Even if it's a little inferior? Lin, he was a little disappointed. Boss Bai only had one cauldron, and he passed it to his last disciple. It seemed that even if he learned alchemy, he wouldn't have a share. No, Bai Weidahua shook his head and said, Grandpa is particular about quality over quality. This is the cauldron he used before, and it's the only one. Okay, thank you, I understand. After understanding the truth, Lin, he didn't say anything more. Since Boss Bai only had one cauldron, and he passed it to his last disciple, then Lin, he wouldn't ask Boss Bai anymore. It would be useless even if he asked. However, where could he buy a suitable cauldron for an alchemist? House Yu definitely had it, but if House Yu did, with the relationship between Lin Yi and House Yu might not sell it. Ice Palace probably had it too, and they could get it too, but it wasn't worth it to trouble Crystal Candy for such a small matter. Moreover, he had boasted that he was going to become a golden class third-level alchemist, and after such a long time, he didn't even have a cauldron, let alone becoming an alchemist. He would probably be laughed at by Crystal Candy. Lin, he held back his anger in front of Crystal Candy. Sooner or later, she would dig her eyes out, so Lin, he didn't plan to make Crystal Candy despise him even more because of this small matter. Now, the only thing that Lin, he could rely on to get a cauldron was the Hidden House Yu, the Hidden House Zhao, and the Hidden House Han. The possibility of the Hidden House Yu getting the cauldron was the highest. After all, the Hidden House Yu was an old hidden house with strong connections. They weren't any weaker than the Hidden House Yu. As long as the Hidden House Yu asked, asking for a normal cauldron from the Hidden House Yu would be a piece of cake. But the only person Lin Yi knew and could contact in House Yu was Yu Bing, and Yu Bing was training in the Ice Palace right now. If he wanted to find Yu Bing, he would have to go through the Ice Palace. Plus, Yu Bing was in the Ice Palace, and it wouldn't be easy for House Yu to get a cauldron for Lin Yi. So Lin Yi gave up on the idea and turned his attention to the other two hidden families. With the relationship between Lin Yi and Zhao Qikuan, asking for a cauldron shouldn't be a problem, but the problem was that Zhao Qikuan didn't have a high position in the hidden house. Even if they did, Zhao Qikuan might not be able to make them do it. Shaking his head, Lin, he could only place his hopes on the Hidden House Hans, the new hidden house. He just didn't know if the Hidden House Hans had the connections to get a cauldron. Listening to the Hidden Han family, they were already being oppressed and coveted by the other hidden families. Asking them to help them get a medicine cauldron was probably not very likely. How is it, Linny bro? Han Jingjing asked worriedly, seeing Lin Yi frowning after the call. This cauldron can't be used for elixir making. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. If you use this cauldron to make elixirs, the cauldron will explode. Ah, no wonder my cauldron exploded. Jingjing thought it was something else. Han Jingjing understood. That means Jingjing was right. It's the cauldron's problem. That should be the case. Don't try to make elixirs for now. I'll think of a way to get you a cauldron in the next few days. Linny said. Okay, Linny bro. Han Jingjing nodded. Hidden House Yu. You coiling tiger, you said that Linny got some information on elixir making from Boss Bai. Yu Jintian listened to Yu Coiling Tiger's narration and frowned. He was a little unhappy. What did Lin Yi do to make Boss Bai think so highly of him? Yes, although I didn't hear it very clearly. I heard some key points clearly from the intermittent conversation at the door. Yu Coiling Tiger said, Boss Bai wants to take Lin Yi as his disciple and teach Lin Yi some knowledge on elixir making. When Lin Yi went out, he took a book of information. It must have been given to him by Boss Bai. If that's the case, it's worth it for our house you to find a way to exchange for that information. The key is Lin Yi willing to exchange? Yu Jinqian also knew that Yu Coiling Tiger and Lin Yi weren't on good terms, and the relationship between the entire house Yu and Lin Yi wasn't very good either. However, fortunately, Lin Yi didn't know that Yu San came from the hidden house Yu, so the relationship between the two wasn't too stiff. If there were enough benefits, Lin Yi might be tempted. Uncle, I think we can definitely exchange for Lin Yi. The key is what we can give him. Yu Coiling Tiger said, no matter how powerful Lin Yi is, he's just a loose cultivator and a poor bastard. He even went to the antique street to buy a trash cauldron. This kind of person definitely doesn't have anything valuable on him. So if we take out something that can move him, he'll definitely compromise. Oh, went to the antique street to buy trash cauldrons? Yu Jinqian raised his eyebrows. This Lin Yi can't be that bad, right? After all, he has some connections with the Ice Palace. Why would he go buy trash? What the hell does he have to do with the Ice Palace? Palace Master Bingtang is just giving Lin Yi some face because of Xiao Xiao and Tang Yin. I dare say that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to get Bingtang to help him right now. Yu Coiling Tiger said with certainty. That's true. Yu Jinqian believed that as well. Otherwise, there was no way the Ice Palace wouldn't know about 3 Earth-class masters going to assassinate Lin Yi. But even now, no one from the Ice Palace came out to investigate this. This meant that Bingtang didn't care about Lin Yi at all. Master Yu, I've thought of something that we can exchange for. Huang Mao suggested carefully. Oh, Huang Mao, what do you think we should exchange? Yu Jinqian looked at Huang Mao. Cauldrons. Since Lin Yi went to the antique street to buy cauldrons, that means that Lin Yi doesn't have any good cauldrons, at least not a good one. Or his previous cauldrons were broken, or else he wouldn't have gone there to buy cauldrons. Huang Mao said, and since he went to the antique street to buy cauldrons, that means that Lin Yi doesn't have any other way to get cauldrons. He's a loose cultivator, so he can only go there to try his luck. But it's very likely that he didn't see a cauldron he liked, so he bought some trash to make up the numbers. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.